Hey everybody, how you doing? Give me a minute here because we are having a change in guests for tonight. I cannot get a hold of our scheduled guest, which is Paul Sinclair. So Alex Mistretta is stepping in. So I'm just gonna change everything here. Let's see here. So I apologize. I have no control sometimes over this, guys. So I quickly made a phone call 2 minutes ago to my good friend Alex Mistretta, and so that's what we are doing. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Uh, 2 seconds, guys.
Dave?
Hey, Big Nuts, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Good. You can turn your camera off because I don't want to see your hairy back. But look at that. Look how gorgeous you are. Oh, all right. We are live on YouTube, and well, let's give a quick shout out to everybody here because I got a lot of work to do to get kind of caught up here with everything. And Paul Sinclair was supposed to be our guest. Obviously, he missed the 5 o'clock wake or the 4:45 wake up call. Sometimes that happens when we have guests booked from over in the UK. So I do apologize for that. Nick, how you doing? Tina, thanks for coming on in. Ross Worsley, a pleasure. Commonwealth Andrew, good to see you. And we got Millennium, thanks for coming on in. Shane Spielman, welcome to our chat room, man. Big Rob, always a pleasure to have you here. Jenny, good to see you, honey. The Philip Blair, everyone. The Philip Blair is here. And, of course, we do have Lord of Lands, Sweet Donnie C. Nicole Sakic, looking fantastic as per usual. Hi, Ronno. Kristen Alberg, how you doing, gorgeous? Bees Nest, Scotty Eisner, always a pleasure. Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, Scoreboard Lounge, and the dynamic and gorgeous Brittany. Thank you for coming on in. Great Lakes Sasquatch. Nikki Star is here. Sam Fazari, welcome to our chat room for the first time. The gorgeous Becky Belling, good to see you. Hi there, Justin. Kevin, how you doing? Mr. Apnea, where have you been? I need my air conditioner update, please. You know what that means. Pharmacy, good to see you. I think Gaspar, I got you. Princess Denali, always a pleasure. Look, I know it's not the same guest that we have scheduled. Hi, Singapore, Ibarata, how are you? But the show must go on. We got to make this thing happen. So Alex Mistretta, on 2 minutes' notice, has joined us for tonight. Tim F., good to see you. Vector, thanks for coming on in, man. All right, let's get this thing fired up. Shall we? Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm very proud to see you're doing this shirtless, buddy.
Oh, always, dude. It's 84 degrees in my apartment still, so shirt's not coming on for sure.
It's snowing here, just so you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay, 15 seconds. Great way to support this show is through the super chat and give the thumbs up and the thumbs down and hit that subscribe button. 10 seconds here, everyone, and we're going to make this shit happen. We're going to have a great show tonight. Stay tuned. 5 seconds, Alex. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Sometimes we have a little trouble getting a hold of our original guest, which happened tonight. And I'm assuming because 4:30 comes early for our scheduled guest, as he's over in the UK, Paul Sinclair, that maybe, just maybe, he slept through the alarm. I'm thinking that's what happened. But that isn't a slight to Paul because he is a professional. I'm sure that there is a logical excuse. All right? But the show must go on. So about 3 minutes ago, I called up my buddy Alex Mistretta, who only does interviews while shirtless for some reason. It's weird. But he is a fantastic researcher when it comes to everything cryptid, paranormal, supernatural, ufological. And I said, Alex, what are you doing tonight? And he goes, I'm watching the Dodgers. And frankly, since my Yankees have been eliminated from the playoffs, I really have no need to watch any more baseball because I'm still crying. It's been like 12 years since we won the World Series. But Alex here, old Alex, shirtless and all, has decided that he's going to come on and talk some cryptids with us. Mr. Alex Mistretta, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about you?
I am doing great, and thank you for coming in short notice here, my friend. We really do appreciate you taking the time to do that. Alex, you know, there's a bunch of listeners who've heard you before on the show. You're becoming a pseudo-regular around here, especially on the roundtables. And but now you are, you know, also a researcher and someone who has a real flair for trying to prove that a lot of these phenomena are real. What led you down this path?
Zombies. When I was in school, I was for those that don't know, I have a BS in psychology and anthropology. Anthropology kind of be my favorite subject. And my senior year, I was doing pretty well at school, and my professor said, hey, man, do you want to do an independent study? Pick whatever you want, do whatever you want. I'll approve it. You'll get an A, whatever, right? And I'm like, Bigfoot. He's like, no, anything but that. And I'm like, zombies. He's like, do it. And at first it sounded crazy, right? I thought he was going to say no because zombies sounds like such a supernatural Hollywood type of thing. But then as I got into it, I ended up writing 2 papers on the subject for that school. I realized that because I found actually I wasn't the one that found the angle. Wade Davis out of Harvard was the first guy to actually find truth behind the zombie and the voodoo phenomena. But, you know, I kind of took off from there. I realized that if you could find real world answers to that, even if you have to expand, you know, what the real world is, you could absolutely solve absolute everything. You can find a base where you can start with any subject from aliens to Bigfoot to Nessie. it just that was the impetus for me to realize that that was the angle I wanted to take, find something concrete, and then and then just go from there.
You have been a real advocate for promoting science within the UFO, paranormal, encrypted communities, and having science take this a lot more serious than a lot of people do. Why have you been one of the most passionate voices regarding the scientific community jumping into the paranormal feet first?
Well, two reasons. There's a selfish reason where I want to justify, my the school loans that I haven't paid off yet. So I want to justify the fact that I actually went to college and took the time to learn, before I could become an investigator in this field. So that's kind of like a kind of selfish side to me. But the other thing is I've just seen just this trend in the United States and worldwide where this anti-science trend, especially here in the U.S. And that really, really bugs me because there's nothing I hate more than looking backwards and not thinking progressively and going forward. And obviously, I'm not a big enough voice to make a difference, on the national level and on the world level in terms of pushing science forward. But I can do it in this field because I've taken the time to educate myself, and I think I'm capable enough to do it. So that's why I think I advocate that so strongly. And I think it's so important. You got to have a strong base before you can go on to something else. And you and I always joke about the paranormal Bigfoot thing, right? I always make fun of you and make fun of it. But ultimately, my whole point with that is that if you start with what you can eventually get to that point. But you need a starting point, and a lot of times in this field, we think the end point, Bigfoot does this, or aliens are piloting this craft as an answer when it really isn't. We have to kind of go back, and we've misstepped A to Z, and that's how so I want to start with A, B, and C, and then get to Z.
That's Zed. We're a Canadian show, man. Our Canadian listeners are not going to be able to understand that.
I apologize for my butchering of the English language.
No, but on a serious note, and you and I have a lot of fun online. Every day we are kind of snarking each other regarding the paranormal, and I have a lot of fun with that, and I know you do too, because we've kind of figured out each other's humor. But there's a lot of people in this field who take this very, very seriously. But there's also this group that is very polarizing. Okay, it's what I like to call the weekend warriors out there who are really, really interested in the field, but they're not interested in solving anything. Now, you're someone who wants to solve these mysteries. What's the difference between what you are doing and what a lot of these people are doing for that weekend high to get scared on a ghost hunt or maybe get a glimpse of Sasquatch or Dogman?
Well, I think it's exactly what you said. It's the idea of wanting answers. If you're a researcher investigator, you should be in it because you want answers. You want to make you want to leave the field better than it was when you're done with it. That's the difference between what I call an expert. That's why I call myself an expert, as arrogant as that may be. And people just go on the weekend. They just want to have a good time. And there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to recognize there's a difference between people that want answers and are capable of getting it. People are just out there having fun, having a good time. Again, it's not that they're not worthy of doing what they're doing, but we need to be able to establish a difference between the two so we can move forward, in a progressive way. It comes down to just wanting answers. And I'm just, I know I take it too far and I'm obsessed, but
and I don't mean to cut you off there, bro, because I know this is very off collar, it's very off guard and everything like that. And normally we try and have a conversation to try and set things up with the way we want the show to go, and that just isn't the case for today. However, that doesn't mean that we can't, kind of move forward. Do you begrudge a lot of people who are wanting that weekend warrior experience out there to get the thrill and the title of saying, hey, I'm a Bigfoot investigator or I'm a paranormal researcher?
No, not at all. I don't mind those guys at all. I take issue when they feel the need to belittle what I do or what other people that have experience or want answers do. And that's where I have a problem with the paranormal thing. Is like sometimes it's like it provides an avenue for certain people that don't want to be educated don't want to do the work, but they want to be a voice in this field and they want to be on your show or on Jimmy's show or whatever, you know? And that's what I begrudge, is that attitude that we're all equal when we're not. And I don't mean equal in terms of one's better than the other, but one has different purpose. My purpose is to get answers, to educate, to solve things. Their purpose is to go out there, have a good time. And I think there needs to be a difference, but no, I don't. I mean, I hang out with those guys occasionally, right? I go on those weekend trips, whether it's a ghost hunt or whatever. It's fun,
Right.
but it's not work.
Okay, so what do you mean by that? That it's not work? A lot of people may get confused by that.
I mean, that's a good question. It's just you like, for example, as you know, I was an athlete, as you know, before you compete on a weekend, there's entire preparation you do all week. You have specific practices geared towards peaking for that weekend, right? And that starts with your diet, what you're drinking, the whole thing, right? And you prepare yourself. It's sort of the same thing in this field. You have to prepare yourself for what you're going to do for the weekend. You have to do your research. You have to, and that takes a lot of time. It's not about just going out and hanging out. It's all preparation. And when you just all this weekend warriors, there's no preparation involved, really. They just go to a popular spot, a spot they know they might have had sightings in the past, and they just go. It's missing that whole process. To be an investigator, be a researcher, you have to love the process. And the process isn't fun. It's doing all that work all week, all that work, you've done for years. And, and that's what's missing from just going out, I think, and just having a good time on a weekend.
No, and I understand that, and I can appreciate that, but you've tried to take this to a whole different level. You've worked with MUFON, you've worked very closely with Dr. Barry Taff, and many others who are prominent in trying to capture the public's enlightenment and interest in these fields with real scientific facts. How difficult has that been to try and bring any sort of proof whatsoever to the public?
It's been hell. If I'm going to be 100% honest, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't even get in this field at all. I never realized how hard it was going to be, when I'm first starting out. Initially, I thought the only enemy I was going to have basically is the skeptics, right? It's how do you bring this to a world that knows nothing and has all these preconceptions about what the paranormal or cryptozoology really is. But worse than that now, I think, is this field is you have so much pushback towards if you want to get answers and you want to bring science into it, or you want to prove something, or you want to even expand it and bring in, non-believers into it. And that's, I think, what's tougher for me. The fact that I have to deal with all this pushback from people in the field that I thought were on board. That's probably been the most disappointing.
Okay, now I realize that that's disappointing, but I would love for you to go into a little bit more detail with that, because I don't think for a lot of people who are in this field or are on the outside looking in realize how political, how contrived, how fake a lot of people are in this field. I mean, let's not get this wrong. There's a lot of good people in there, Alex, but there is a lot of shysters who are in it for their own personal gain and ego stroke.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's different mechanisms involved, whether it's you're dealing with the Bigfoot people, the paranormal, the UFO people. But if you look at the UFO world, for example, which is probably the easiest, most popular example, is we're dealing with a worldwide phenomena, right? And we're having all these sightings in remote places, let's say like the India-China border, or in Kazakhstan, or just possible structures left in Siberia that we've all ignored. And on the other hand, those are concrete stuff that we could actually go study, and we could actually, bring about our own disclosure, so to speak. And all that, no one cares about that, because you have all these people, these so-called insiders, from Eisenhower to Corey Good to Emery Smith, people that can't prove where they've been, and they make so much noise, and they're so popular because they bring in money, and they bring in, this whole almost cult-like crowd with them, that they get all the exposure, they get to make the films, and the field loses. And you can't fight that. I don't know how to fight that, because I've been trying for years. And no one wants to take a stand. No one wants to fight and say, hey, these people are full of shit. Enough is enough. Let's get back to real ufology. It's not happening. And that's the biggest struggle, at least on the UFO side.
Well, it's one of those things, Alex, where I know what you're talking about, and the unfortunate part about it is there's a lot of people so confused out there. There may not be involved in this community, but they've had that experience with ghosts. They've had that experience with UFOs, maybe MK Ultra or something along those lines, and they are just trying to learn why this is happening to them. And it's hard for a lot of people to try and understand and comprehend everything that is going on in this field. And they just want somebody to trust. Well, it's human nature that you go to the most popular people first, whether that's someone who is, in my opinion, respectable, like Grant Cameron or Richard Dolan or yourself or people of that ilk, or whether it is the Corey Goods or the David Wilcox or the David Ikes of the world. People flock to popularity. It's the same reason why when you see all of these paranormal or UFO conferences, there's some amazing people who have never spoken at a conference, who never get an opportunity because they're not in the limelight. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you a perfect example. Christopher O'Brien, for example. I know for a fact, and Grant and Richard are great, right? There's two of the guys that I like a lot personally. But I think Christopher O'Brien is probably one of the guys that's done the best work in the field in terms of being a field researcher. And I know for a fact that he doesn't get invited to certain conference. He doesn't get the call as to not offend some people that are more popular than he is that have different viewpoints than he does.
Oh, yes.
Right. And he's not, obviously I've been in that situation, myself. I've been left out of shows because, for the same reasons as Chris. But stuff like that should never, ever happen in this field if we claim to be about the truth,
Well, there is a popularity contest. I mean, let's face it. Everybody wants to be popular. And this is one of the only fields out there, and we've discussed this many a times on this show, but this is one of the only fields out there where you don't need an education to give yourself popularity. All you need is a good YouTube channel or a loud voice, maybe a 10-minute cameo on a television show or popular podcast. You can be anything you want in this field. You don't even have to go to school for it. You just absolutely get to make up who you want to be.
Yeah, that's the key. I mean, you look at especially some of the more popular investigators aren't even investigators at all. They're actors. You look at a show like Mountain Monsters on the cryptozoology side, who's probably the most popular cryptozoology show except for Finding Bigfoot, right? Those guys are actors. None of those guys actually existed before they formed the show, And you go to a conference like at the Mothman, the yearly Mothman conference that they have.
Yeah. Lines
were going around the block to meet those guys. And I'm sure they're very nice guys and all that stuff, but they're not. They're actors. The whole thing is scripted, But they're super popular, and I don't know how to fight that at times, and it just drives me crazy.
Okay, so if you had your way, as we only got about 5 minutes here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, if you had your way, what do you want to see different in the paranormal? What do you want to see different?
I want to start a professional system where it's like any other job, it's competition. Whoever does, you get paid, and if you don't do the work, you don't get paid. But everybody has to get paid. It has to be sponsorship and funding behind it. Not coming from TV because they don't care about what's real or not. They don't care about results. They just want to be entertained. But funding from private corporations, funding from scientific institutions, or sponsorship like clothes sponsorship, like North Face or whatever. People that are actually going to care that you actually go out there and discover something and make discoveries because it reflects better on them. Because the TV people, and that's where all your money is coming from. If you want to make money today, you have to do a TV show. They couldn't care less if you see or not see anything because they can edit it any way they want and they can make stuff up because they're under, they don't. That's part of television. You can't blame those guys. That's what they do. So you need a backing that wants and needs answers and proof
Is there enough qualified people to do that? And who sets the qualification bar?
There's absolutely enough qualified people. There's plenty of great researchers. Yeah, who sets that? That's the problem. How do you determine? We kind of all know, who some of the better investigators are, who the real people are, but how does the rest of the world know that? How do you, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I honestly don't know.
Is it possible?
Absolutely, it's possible. 100%.
How?
I don't know. I don't, that's my weakness. I don't know. If I knew how to get that started, it would have worked out a long time ago. I wanted to do something like that initially with UPARs, after I left BFUN LA, but no one seemed interested in doing something like that. So you need to hire a business guy that knows how to get a business going. It's like any other business, right? You're starting at zero. So how do you start your business? How do you get, it's just, I think the thing is, there's enough proof, enough evidence from some of the good people out there to make presentations to, North Face or whoever to get funding, just like any documentary, like any other expedition or explorers, that go out looking for, tigers in India or whatever. It's the same principle, but we have to start looking at it from that principle. But we need people that know how to do that. And clearly most of us in this field don't.
Okay,
We're not business guys.
Okay, so take the business aside here for a second. Let's go on the investigator side. So we've got about 2 minutes to go. What would qualify anyone as a proper investigator?
Degrees, having gone to college in a related field to what you're studying. For example, you want to be, parapsychologist, you psychology and engineering, same thing with ufology. For cryptozoology, you have an anthropology, archaeology degree, or you're a biologist. You have to start there because those are the people that are going to have pull. And, it doesn't mean that people that don't have degrees aren't just as good or just as worthwhile. But if you want to get something started, you sort of have to start with people that have degrees, but also people that have been experienced. I've been doing this for a while, for at least 10 years, 20 years, whatever. People that have been in the field, have gotten proof, have gotten footprints, have gotten ghost pictures, I've pushed freedom of information, paperwork for, the UFO site. Those people.
Okay, so how many people do you need though for a team? Because if you want to push this right around the world, do you start in Western United States or Western North America, and then move your way east towards the other coastline and then over to Europe? How would you start this?
Well, you have to start in the United States because we probably have the most amount of known researchers, at least that, and there's obviously a lot of guys off in England, but a lot of people live here anyway. So you start here, but the process, I think you could have something that's like a non-team, meaning that you have a core, right? A core of like 3 or 4 guys, and that includes probably, more of a business guy, somebody with the funding, whatever, a handful of investigators. And you have a loose alliance with investigators the world over. And you pull these people in for specific jobs when you need them. Let's say you want to go on an Almasty, the Russian Bigfoot expedition. You pull in, a hominid specialist out from Russia, and then you pay him for his time for, that 1 month or whatever. So you're a team, but like a non-team, right? You have like part-time employees. I think that's a system that could be implemented and that could really work.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm going to get you to hold on right there, Alex, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. When we come back with Alex Mistretta, we're going to talk about the experiencers, because experiencers play a big part in this. And I can read some of your comments in the chat rooms already. Don't get fired up until we get the full story. That's what we do around here. Alex Mistretta on Spaced Out Radio with me, Dave Scott. Continuing after this. All right, brother, we're clear.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I forgot to give you your swear warning before the show. Don't make me edit, man. Please don't make me edit.
I didn't even realize what I said.
Shit.
Oh, sorry.
I don't want to edit. Please don't make me edit.
That's a lot of work.
Hold on. Let's show you some camera here. Hey, Alex Mistretta, how you doing, buddy?
Are you on the camera?
I got my camera on right now, man.
Oh, hold on. I don't know if mine is on. Can you see me?
Yeah, I got the hair going, and look at you're jealous of this, aren't you? You're jealous of that. No male pattern baldness whatsoever, brother. None.
I wish. I wish.
None. Yes.
Mine's getting there. People on YouTube can see this, huh?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
They can see me. I got two cameras. So right there, that's you, right? But over there is YouTube. Here
I got
is
you.
you.
Cool.
There is YouTube. No, that's
Nice.
Skype. YouTube. Skype. YouTube. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Apparently, Corey believes I look like a pineapple with my hair right now. Corey, your mustache looks like a rotted Twinkie. Hey, Mark Salzman, you're looking lovely and talented tonight. Who else we got new just coming in here? Middle Child, good to have you here. Thank you. There's the gorgeous and refreshing Teresa. Joe, you've got aliens. Oob to you. Let's see here. What else we got? Let's see here. Ross is saying Dave's hair is growing gloriously longer. Yeah, it is. It's getting real long. It's getting there again. You know? Alex, you played college volleyball?
Volleyball, I ran track, and I spent about 2 weeks with the basketball team. But volleyball is really my only real sport out of those three.
The hell is this password tonight by the clam? That's terrible. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you. It looks great under a hockey helmet. The lettuce is great. It's getting heavy. Falling into perfectly. Hey, Jenny! Is it true it's your birthday? Jenny! Jenny! Is it your birthday? Hey, cable guy Matt. How you doing, buddy? Did you know, Alex, that cable guy Matt is my actual cable guy? And
Really?
And he actually created free pieces of coaxial cable autographed by cable guy Matt.
Nice.
Yeah.
I don't have cable anymore.
Cable guy Matt's the man. He's the man. Hello, awesome Annie. Dave is a free-range feeder in a field of horny goatweed. Yes, I am, Kev. Yes, I am. We've got 90 seconds here. Question, does cable guy Matt's cable work in the UK? I'm pretty sure it would. But then again, you got those weird plugins over there. Alex, have you ever been on your surfboard and had a shark come up and nudge you?
No, thank God, no.
Yeah.
I saw a fin once. I couldn't tell if it was a dolphin or a shark, and I got out of the water pretty quick.
Oh
but,
God.
Yeah, no.
Dude, I would have a smoke trail of poo coming out if I saw a fin like that, man. Honestly, I would.
Sorry, I forgot. You got a big fear of sharks.
Oh, huge fear of sharks. Now, don't get me wrong. I love sharks. Okay, I think they're gorgeous creatures. All right, they are awesome. But swimming with them, getting in the water with them, oh hell no. Hell no, man. No. That's where, I'm a meal. You see, you're a string bean, man. Okay? There's no meat on you. The shark looks at me and he's like, oh, there's a Canadian seal right there. Let's go for a little dining. Literally puts a bib on before coming to get me. Here we go, guys. Hold on. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I'm your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Alex Mistretta tonight on improving the paranormal. Where is the money going to come from? We'll get into that in a minute, but Alex, we want to say thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't going to leave you in a clutch, man.
I appreciate that. You're a good tag team partner. I'd step into the squared circle with you in no time flat, man. No time flat.
Nah.
I'd do that.
We should do that. We can raise money.
Probably could.
There you go. Funding.
Hey, before we even get started, special birthday for the lovely and talented Jenny, who's in our YouTube chat every night. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday, Jenny. Shout out across North America and the world for you. I hope you have the best day ever. Thank you so much for joining us on your birthday. You know, that means a lot, actually. It's her birthday, and she's here, man. Her birthday.
Happy birthday.
I know. Okay, Alex, right before the break, we were talking about, how to build a team, how to build this. And one of the things that I look at, and I agree with you, we need more scientific people involved who have the understanding of how to do proper research, how to conduct proper scientific experimentation. But I also believe that the experiencer is just as important in this field of learning. Why? Because they have experienced things that most scientific people have not. And we need that knowledge and that ability, whether or not they can summon UFOs, whether or not they can talk to the dead, whether or not they've got a special whistle that they can hiss and summon Bigfoot or Dogman in the forest. I think, there has to be a friendly working environment that includes the scientific community and the experiential community as well.
Absolutely, 100%. But you and I know that. But unfortunately, it's hard to get that across to people from outside the field, scientists or sources of funding or whatever. They just want to see people that appear professional, people, again, like I was saying, people that maybe have degrees, have had a lot of experience. It's because you have to cater to those people, not to our community, if you want to, take this to the next step. And unfortunately, people that are outside the community couldn't care less about experiences because there's kind of a negative view to that, right? So I'm not saying leave them out. I would absolutely 100%, incorporate them, but you have to come up with a plan where people outside this field can look at it and be interested and want to participate and want to give us money and want to, and want to help us do what we really want to do. And for that, unfortunately, that's where, the outside world is at. They want degrees, people that,
okay,
that are professional,
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here with you for a second.
Yeah.
Where the majority of the people in this field are highly critical of the Stars Academy, but what you're describing is exactly what the TTSA has done.
Yeah, to a certain degree, but I'm not talking about TTSA. Essentially, it's been a funneling system for the Department of Defense, right, or certain so-called whistleblowers of insiders. So it's still coming from the inside out. We're still talking about people here that are completely on the outside. Myself, scientists, they're not people that have the truth, that know the truth, or have a certain version of the truth. They're people that want to find the truth. That's a big difference. CTSA they're starting with people that have inside info, that have a part of the truth, or supposedly, right? We're starting completely outside of that. So I think that's where the difference comes in. We're essentially starting with a hypothesis, not, you know, not any answers.
Okay, so what you're saying then is even though you want some sort of funding from someone to find your own personal Bigelow, your own sugar daddy for the paranormal, there's not a lot out there who aren't wanting anything in return for that type of study. I mean, even Bob Bigelow, even though he tries to say, he was doing this because he's had experiences, his family has had experiences over the years, and he wants to know the truth. But in the end, he was still quite involved with government black projects.
Yeah, and that's always going to be an issue. That's, and I've been in a situation before where I've been in talks with a person with a lot of money that wanted to fund, completely fund my research, and I was going to put a team together and all that. It fell apart a couple of times, but yeah, there's definitely a question of where does that information go, right? And that's why I think, from that sense, better than getting a rich person to fund your research or going to, for the private route, is going to sponsorship route. Like, when you make those surf or the skiing movies that I love to watch, all the athletes in those films are sponsored by clothing company, right? Or Evian or Power Bar or whatever. I think that's a system that we can implement, and that's something we should be taking a look at. So we can make the same type of documentaries, a little higher budget. All we have to do is wear North Face, or we have to wear Quicksilver, or drink out of Evian. If athletes can do it, extreme sport documentary can do it, so could we. That way, whatever information we get automatically gets out, because that's the nature of the beast. Versus, I agree with you, if you have a private source of funding from a very rich individual with a questionable background, one of them, full disclosure here, used to work for the Department of Defense that approached me about, getting something like that together. It's true. You never really know where the information is going and whether they're going to release it to the public, because they're under no obligations whatsoever. But if you go to sponsorship route, automatically, by the nature of the beast, all that information gets out, because that's how they get rewarded. That's how, they get their products out there and people are taking an interest. So I think that's something that's never been done in this field. No one's ever thought about it. But I would much rather do that than, private funding.
I get that, but in the case of somebody like the TTSA or even Robert Bigelow, government funding is a lot cheaper than personal funding, and at times extremely lucrative.
Oh yeah, I take it. I'm not even going to lie. The government comes to me like, Alex, I'm going to pay you $100,000 a year. I'm going to fund your research full time, and you can only release what I'm telling you to release. I would do it in a second. Years ago, I wouldn't have, but now I realize I don't know anybody anything in this field. So I would absolutely do it, but that's not my favorite avenue, to go to. But it's still better than not having that system in place. Even with TTSA, all its faults, and I've been pretty critical of it, right? There's a lot of things about them I don't like. The whole tic-tac-riff and all that stuff, that whole, so-called disclosure or pseudo-disclosure, that still probably wouldn't have happened if that system wasn't in place. And what that does is, even though that's controlled, we all know the whole thing's been calculated from the start. It's very well planned out, and they're releasing what they want to release. There's a whole agenda behind it. But that still gets the ball rolling, where individual pilots or scientists or people, or the Navy independently, or the Air Force or whatever, now they feel they're in an environment that it's okay. You're not going to be punished for talking about this stuff or for making revelations. And it kind of gets the ball rolling, or you get kind of like people not associated with TTSA or that source of funding, they're starting to come forward. So it still has its positive impact. Obviously you have to play, it's one of those things, like it's like you work for the bad guy. See if you can do some good, bring some good out of it. And I would sell out in a second. I don't care. In a second. But again, that wouldn't be my preferred way of doing things.
Well, at least you're honest about it, that you would sell out for a good paycheck. I think that's kind of cool. I do.
Dude, honestly, I've been doing this broke for 20 years, and I've dedicated my life to doing this. At this point, realizing that I've been banging my head against the wall with people in this field that couldn't care less by getting answers. Anybody that cares and wants to pay me to actually get work done, I would take it. If Satan himself showed up in my living room right now and go, dude, here's $100,000, do your research, I would join up with Satan in a second.
I don't even know where to take that. I really don't. Okay, so let's kind of change the topic here for a second, because
Yeah.
a few minutes ago we were talking about the experiencers and how you bring experiencers in and enjoy what they have to bring to the table for the scientific community just as much as the physical evidence does as well. So my curiosity to you, Alex, is if you are on the scientific team because you're anti-woo, how do you blend the woo in order to maximize full knowledge on this? Because I firmly believe that, and I've talked to scientist Bob McGuire about this, Science Bob. Okay, and I think he's starting to see where I'm getting at. I just explained it terribly. Is I really believe a lot of the answers that we have, okay, or that we need and are looking for, are in the heads of experiencers who have had extraordinary events happen and just haven't been able to tap in to that side of their brain where the information has been downloaded and stored.
Well, I mean, you can't, just by the nature of this field, especially the paranormal and UFO side, you can't leave out experiencers because that's where your data is coming from. It's just how you present it to the outside world. Instead of presenting it as an experience or somebody that's been abducted or somebody that's, able to create poltergeist phenomena, you present it as a hypothesis. And it's semantics at that point, And it's impossible to leave out the experiences. They would never get left out because without them, you have nothing. That's your entire data. Even Bigfoot, right? If you don't have people that have seen Bigfoot, you're not going to really know where to go.
What about people who have seen Bigfoot disappear in front of them?
I don't think nor of those guys either. It's just, it hasn't been my area. No, I don't. Honestly, you can ask anybody that's been in the field with me, but that's not where my strength is. My strength is the fact that I have an anthropology degree, so I dwell on that. But if people come to you with that story, you still got to take it in. But we're not up to that point yet, especially with Bigfoot. I mean, we'd have to prove a species exists, and before we can discuss what it's capable of. So it's just like again, it's going to A first before we get to Z.
Gotcha. I see where you're going with that. All right, one of the creatures that I want to talk. We're going to continue on with this conversation till the top of the hour, but one of the creatures I do want to talk about with you tonight that really intrigues me and a lot of our listeners, and I think you're one of the best at researching this, is Mokele Mbembe. And I want to get into that because I just love saying that word, Mokele Mbembe. It just rolls off the tongue very nicely. It's like a nice scotch.
It's a great conversation topic when you're on a date too.
Yes. Yes. So, when's the last time you had a Mokele Mbembe sighting? I could see your Tinder profile. Let me be your Mokele Mbembe.
How did you know?
That wouldn't surprise me. I actually stalked you. I'm not gonna lie. I stalked you. But no, in regard, and I want to get to some of the other cryptids that you have got into because for a lot of people listening to you, and if this is their first time, okay, they may look at what you're saying as like, this guy doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't believe the experiencer. He doesn't, he's all science and no flash. Probably is wearing a tank top underneath his t-shirts. I mean, that's kind of the way a lot of people may look at you because you're very matter of fact. You're very strong in your opinions. You don't care about what others think because you've seen this field for 20 years. In your opinion, what's going to work and what doesn't. It's like me being critical of other radio show hosts or podcasts because when you've done it long enough, you could tell the difference between quality and those who are just playing around. So as a group in whole, the entire community, do you believe there is a connection between everything that the majority of experiencers and researchers out there are completely missing?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it's on a few different levels. I think there's a source out there that, and I started thinking about that when I was at Skinwalker a few years ago. There's a source that communicates through archetypes or through imagery, not straight communication. And that's where you cannot separate the experiencer from the experience, because they communicate in ways that using culture, using your subconscious in ways that you can understand. For example, you go to Skinwalker, right? And you get this giant coyote, this giant wolf that people see, which is very strong symbol in Native American culture, right? You go, you go to haunted houses, you see, typical poltergeist, whatever. I think there's a source out there that links a lot of these things together. It shows itself in different ways depending on who's observing it and where you're at, what the history of that location is. I think that's one of the big pieces that we're missing. And that's where the experiencer comes in. And I think that's super, super important.
Where does evidence come in? And, I'm going to ask you a very vague question, but I think it has a major meaning. What is evidence?
Well, it has to be, I guess it's different for every field, right? But it has to be something concrete that you can show. And you're right. It's proof and evidence is two different things, by the way. Proof is something that's inescapable. Once you have it, that's proof is like a Bigfoot body or an alien body or alien DNA, or even, I guess a ghost on film was kind of sort of like proof, but evidence is something different. Something is a little more suggestive. So I think, the definition can vary depending on researcher to researcher. And evidence is a question. I think it's primarily what it is. Instead of being an answer, like we view it so many times, like, for example, somebody goes out in the woods, find Bigfoot tracks. They think that's proof. It's not. It's evidence, but it's not proof because it's a question. You go out at a haunted location, for example, like I did, right? I took the famous picture of the girl. It's not proof. It's evidence because I can't prove what that figure is. So I think evidence is a question and an avenue for further research. It's the start of your inquiry.
Is there a way, to use evidence as proof? For instance, if we have an alien body, is that not evidence as well as proof?
Yeah, that's both. But first you have the body, right? So all you have is something there that's visual, but you have to test it. You have to research and know where it's coming from. How did you get this body? Then, you check the DNA. You got to make sure it's not human, make sure it's not a rubber body or whatever. Then it becomes proof. Just having a body is just evidence. But once, you still have to prove that it's an alien body. So, and that goes with anything, or you find a skull or whatever, until you do, proper DNA test, or exactly where it came from, where you got it from, and you're able to back that up, without questions, then it becomes proof. It's just, I know it's harsh just on some level, because you're right. In the community as experiencers, people will they want the experiences to be proof. I do too. I mean, look, people think I'm skeptical, but I'm not. I've seen 5 UFOs. I've seen videos of an alien. Honestly, I've seen about 4 or 5 ghosts. I've seen a lot of things, but I don't talk about it a whole lot because to me, it's not proof. And as a researcher, I can't prove those things, happen or they're real. So it all depends what your goal is. So I think evidence is a little bit of a fluid term, whether you're an experiencer or whether you're an investigator researcher.
Okay. Tell me about this video of the alien. I mean, if you've got aliens, I need to hear about it.
Yeah, this was a case I had with Dr. Barry Taff. One night, Barry gives me a call. He's like, hey, I have this lady. She's experienced a poltergeist phenomena up in Pasadena. Let's go. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to Barry's apartment and we took off. He drove. We took off from there. Well, I met up there. I don't even remember now. But anyway, and the thing started out, and this is again a link between paranormal and UFO phenomena. By the way, the thing started out as a typical poltergeist case, an excellent case, by the way. She had some of the best pictures I've ever seen. Like, she had one picture of her sitting on a bed, and there's a series of clear heads appearing behind her until they disappeared into the wall. That sort of thing, you know. And at some point in the night, she's like, "Hey, I got these weird pictures. I don't know what they are. You guys want to take a look at it? I don't know if this relates to what has been going on in the apartment." And she shows us pictures of, like, you know, kind of lights in the sky, UFOs above her apartment. And Barry like, "Huh, that's weird. Now we have both phenomena happening at once." And then she's like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "I also filmed this thing in the middle of the night on my cell phone." And she showed us, you know, the terrible quality, but I could see this two little big oval eyes, you know, a little thing walking around her bedroom in the dark that looked like a grate. And again, this case started like it's just typical 100%. It hit, you know, every poltergeist paradigm you can possibly think of, but it turned into a UFO case. And that was the alien night. Barry, you can ask Barry Taff if you ever have him on the show. He saw it, I saw it, and a third person saw the film on her cell phone.
That is amazing.
Pretty cool.
That is amazing. I have one photo of an alien here that was taken on a ghost tour of my museum, and my buddy Merle and his paranormal team partner Jeff were using an SLS camera. So for a lot of people who don't know what that is, it actually turns the picture a pinkish purple hue, and they took 500 photos with the SLS over the night. And right in the middle of those photos, there was one that just was not up to snuff. And it did not go into the pink area of the SLS. Came out black and white. And when they looked at it, and they looked in the doorway, sure enough, there's the head of a gray standing right in the doorway at about 5.5 feet tall. Crazy.
That's cool.
Crazy. Same museum where I sent you the picture of the dude on the stairs. But a different building.
Well, that spot has me interested now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming over.
Well, you got to do it shirtless, man. You have to.
It's cold up there, man. It's cold in Canada.
Well, yeah, but, you know, you swim with sharks. So I'm sure you can handle a few snowflakes. They're not liberal.
I am it. Okay.
Just saying. They're not. We've got a minute, just over a minute to go here before we go to break at the top of the hour. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight. Your dream team, give me your top 5. Spread it around.
Well, so on the UFO side, Christopher O'Brien. Obviously, on the, you know, paranormal side, I take Dr. Barry Taff, because he's my friend. Ken Gerhard on the cryptozoology side. I'd get, if I could, obviously, a Dr. Wade Davis from Harvard, the zombie guy, only because he's done a lot of work across the world in a lot of different cultures. Maybe, and actually for going back to Mokanememe, which is my favorite subject, probably Adam Davis, the cryptozoologist, the Neural and Pendex specialist. He's done a lot of expeditions in Africa as well. He's one of the best explorers in our field that we've ever seen. So that's kind of like my dream team right there.
How about for ghosts? Save it. Save it, because we are going to have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Alex Mistretta is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into a lot of cryptid talk. You know, he's not very woo, but we're going to turn him into a woo conversee tonight, because that's what we do here. I'm pretty good at that. I am pretty good at that. And you know, if I could get Alex to do this interview without a shirt on, because I don't even think he owns a shirt, except maybe body paint, we could get him to talk some woo. Mokili Mabembe. Don't know what it is? Stay tuned, because we're going over to the Congo, see if we can find a dinosaur on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, bud, I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Yeah, stuff's going to kill you one day, bro.
Why? My
You want
dogs?
me out smoking?
No, I'm literally take my dogs out.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was a code word for smoking.
No, I take my dogs out. I'll be right back.
All right.
Such as
Sharks will
UFOs,
kill you too, by the way.
and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced
Be
Out
right back.
Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you'd know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
All right, I'm back, bud. We got 2.5 minutes.
Cool.
Hi, YouTube. How you doing? How's our friend Alex? I think he's brewing some chamomile tea because he seems like a chamomile tea kind of guy.
You're talking about me?
Yeah.
Dude, there's no way. I've never drank tea in my life.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I'm all pineapple Fanta right now.
What's that?
I'm drinking pineapple Fanta. That's my
Fanta?
interview drink.
They still make Fanta?
Wait, is it no? I mean, yeah, pineapple. That's my drink of choice during interviews.
Really?
Yeah.
I am on, let's see, June 1st, I quit drinking Pepsi. And
Okay.
I'm on water now. Lovely water.
That's good. Soda's terrible for you. I drink it all the time, but that's terrible.
Yeah. Yep.
I do drink embarrassing drinks, though.
Yeah, you probably. I bet you drink any drink that has an umbrella in it.
No, not that bad.
Oh, yeah.
I do. My go-to drink is a mojito, though. I'm a beach boy.
Well, of course. I could see that. I would join you for one. I would totally join you for one.
I've embarrassed Steve Murillo more than once at the bar.
Yes. Hey, G girl, how are you? All right, we're into our final commercial. Thank you for everybody tuning us in on this Friday night, early Saturday morning, wherever you are on this wonderful planet. And thank you to everybody who's given us a thumbs up for the show. Don't forget, great way to support us is the Super Chat is open, and do a little shopping at the SOR Vault on our website. Here comes hour number 2.
Iowa. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott, and I'm playing on the radio tonight to make sure that you get your woo factor in, and we appreciate it. Thank you for everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Let's get to the Desert Clam as he has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Oh my gosh, what is this? I gotta even expand it here. Zalam Dodont. Zalam Dodont is your password, or is it Dodont? Probably Dodont. Zalam Dodont is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you, as you know. Head to our website, spacedoutradio.com. Yeah. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, hanging out with us talking about all of these weird and strange creatures that are roaming this planet. And for some people out there, they still believe that there are dinosaurs among us. Could it be possible, considering there's a lot of this Earth, a plethora of areas that we have not even investigated? The majority of the ocean, for one. See, old Davey here still believes Megalodon exists, or a hybrid between a great white and a Megalodon. But what about dinosaurs? Did they really die off 40, 50, 60 million years ago? Or are there some survivors? Alex, tell us about Mokele Mbembe.
Well, Mokele Mbembe is probably my favorite subject in the entire world. It's something I worked a lot on. I spent 2 years trying to get an expedition to the Congo going. The plug was pulled at the last second. So after that much work and the fact that I'm so interested in it, it's kind of like my big unresolved issue. And for those who are not familiar, Mokele Mbembe is it's an animal in the Congo Basin, meaning that it goes from the Congo to Cameroon to Gabon in that kind of Central Africa. And it's described as looking like a sauropod, so think of brontosaur. It's got a big body, long neck, small head. It's a quadruped. It walks on land, but spends most of its time in the water. It's semi-aquatic, and it has a long tail. And it's been reported in the Congo for obviously hundreds of years. And I got interested in it when a scientist from the University of Chicago went on an expedition looking for Mokele Mbembe back in the 80s. And his hypothesis was that it was a dinosaur. And from there, that whole lost dinosaur, the Congo thing just kind of blew up. So that's kind of like the background on Mokele Mbembe. But one thing I do want to mention real quick is there's no real proof it's a bona fide dinosaur. Is it possible? Absolutely, because dinosaurs didn't actually go extinct because we have birds. So those are theropods. Theropods, or branch of theropods, eventually evolved into modern birds today. In fact, you can reverse engineer a chicken, for example, and give him dinosaur traits, which some scientists have been doing the last 10 years for whatever weird reason. So that hypothesis isn't impossible, but there's no real proof that it happened on the sauropod side. But that being said, there's a thing called convergent evolution, where certain other species starts mimicking traits from unrelated species, think like bats and birds, because they live and have evolved in a very similar environment and occupied a similar niche. So that's where Mokeremembe stands.
Okay, so how is it even possible? And I understand, going with birds, they're the closest we have probably to current dinosaurs, along with alligators and crocodiles. Okay, but to have a creature that is a smaller version of the Brontosaurus walking around the jungles of Africa, that seems, in my world and many others, pretty impossible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it sounds crazy if you think about it, but there's some of the most consistent sightings in that area that existed for a very, very long time. I mean, and we're talking about, from the pygmy population, from some of the tribes in the area. It has a long, long history, and there's just so matter of fact about this animal that you gotta pay attention. But again, I think too much emphasis is put on the dinosaur thing. I think there's a high probability that it could be a mammal just as well. So all I know is, because I've talked to people who've seen it in all those 2 years. I had people in the Congo that managed to, talk to some of the fishermen that see this animal, especially in the morning, because it interferes with their fishing. Tell them the story to tell me that they've seen this animal, that all describe it the same way. So it's really, really hard to ignore from that standpoint.
Well, what would a creature like this be feeding on?
It's vegetarian. It's according to some of the fishermen, its favorite fruit is the malombo fruit, which is kind of like this fruit that grows on the side of the rivers. And it's all vegetarian. It eats all the leaves on the side of the river. That's where it's mostly seen. It swims or it walks. Uses the river system to kind of get around it. Like I said, it's semi-aquatic, and it mostly it's seen on land when it's feeding. And it feeds, like I said, off the trees, vegetation. So there's a lot of food out there.
Oh no, and I understand that Africa is a very large continent. Okay, and but a creature of that size, not to be recognized or even proven.
Yeah.
I mean, it blows my mind that we haven't even studied that far to look for this creature, if it's out there. Number two, wouldn't it have to have, I mean, obviously there would be more than one, but it would have to have enough creatures out there of different bloodlines in order to sustain breeding conditions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think people realize how much room is out there, though. It's literally just millions of square miles of just unexplored jungles. Literally, nobody ever goes out there. I mean, but I think it can have a slow. There's a thing called parthenogenesis that's been observed in Komodo dragons, where females of the species, when needed, are able to produce offsprings without male. Right? It's essentially self-cloning. That's one mechanism that animal can use to reproduce slowly, and even if it's isolated from males of the species or whatever. So there's ways to get around it, because nature always sort of finds a way, to quote Jurassic Park. So I agree with you. It's a long shot from that standpoint, and I've never been down there, but knowing explorers and people that have gone down there, it's literally you could hide 100,000 of these animals in that jungle, and they would never be seen because there's nobody looking for them. There's one expedition every few years that barely manages to get that far out, because it's just it's so impregnable jungle, and it's just, aside from all the other dangers and the lack of funding and all that stuff. So there's a lot of room. There really is.
Even with all the poachers that are running around Africa?
Well, that's one of the reasons a lot of expeditions don't get that far. The poachers are a problem. But the poachers don't operate in these areas. like people sort of say the problem with the Mokeleme, everybody talks about Lake Tele, which is a lake in the actual Congo, because the animal has been seen there. But for the most part, it's been long gone from that area. The only sightings you have today are as far up something, it's called the Ja River in Cameroon. If you go up the Ja River, you get to a point where there's a waterfall. And every single sighting we've had in recent years, including from some Americans working down there doing some projects, have been around those falls. So the premise is that these animals live beyond that. And beyond that, there's no villages. There's absolutely nothing. And yeah, I mean, poachers usually, there are poachers in Africa, but that's not their quarry. So they probably, if we can't find it,
okay,
probably can't find either.
What kind of evidence is out there? I've never seen a good video of this. I've never seen a good photograph. I have seen footprints. Something like that has to be dropping at least a 3-4 foot high feces pile.
Yeah, the evidence, if I'm going to be honest, the evidence sucks. It's not great. Aside from the footprints, obviously, which you still have to take into account. There's most pictures you've seen have been all hoax. Maybe that one picture from the Japanese crew in 1992 is intriguing, but it's so blurry that it's kind of meaningless. So the evidence is terrible. But in terms of the feces and all that, considering the animal spends most of the time in the water, that's probably where it defecates and does all its business. So you'd be unlikely to come across it. And also, you're talking about a very hot and humid jungle. I mean, things are going to be scattered. Insects are going to get to it. Worms, everything's gone within days. You'd have to get incredibly lucky to be able to come upon even a body or feces or anything.
Would this creature have any known predators chasing it down? Whether it's lions, if it's in the water, hippopotamuses or giant crocodiles would be very aggressive towards it.
Yeah, it's probably big. It's about the size of a hippo or a small elephant. So, crocodile wouldn't be too much of an issue. There's actually no hippos where mokelembes are seen. Hippos and mokelembes are seen in different areas. This seems to stay clear of each other. It probably has no natural enemy, really, to be honest with you. There are stories actually coming in from the same area of an animal called Amila and Tunka, or called Chipekwe from other areas. That's been described as like a water rhino. So it's described again about the same size as mokelembembe with the long tail, which is a problem because rhinos have short tails, and one long horn that's always been seen in the area. And presumably it's been it likes to attack elephants and dismember elephants on the side. It comes out from the water, attacks on the side, and rips the elephant down its flank. So presumably they sort of share a similar environment to similar niche to mokelembembe. That could be one predator if this animal turns out to be real.
Well, if it's the size of the elephant, it could be up to 15, 18 feet high?
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I said, with mokelembembe, you mean, yeah, with the long neck. It's about the size, the body's the size of a small elephant, or, kind of medium-sized hippo type of deal. So, but the footprints are a little bit bigger than both the hippo and the elephant.
Why do you believe this creature is real and existing out in the jungles of the Congo right now?
Well, first of all, the environment is absolutely perfect for it, right? It's also a center of endemism, meaning that it's an area of the world where that essentially functions as an island, meaning that it has it's like Madagascar in a way. You have very specific life forms and animals that are only found in that area. Also, when center endemisms exist and function as an island, you have this equilibrium that happens between big animals and small animals, where bigger animals shrink, small animals become bigger as a sort of equilibrium between prey and predator. So, which would explain kind of like mokelembembe is kind of like a bit of smaller size to a traditional sauropod, for example. So, from a biological standpoint, it makes sense. Two, the eyewitness testimony is so good and so consistent from people that really have no reason to tell their story. No one's making money off this. It's not like people are paying these people to tell their stories. And, you have stories from the pygmy populations, from the fishermen, from even, white people, which, usually carries more weight in our society. And it has such a consistent picture, and it goes back to even, when the first explorers and the first the Christian missionaries that went in the area, the first one to tell the stories of this animal. So there's so much evidence, not proof, like we were talking about earlier, but there's enough evidence for me to deem this absolutely 100% credible.
Okay, so with this creature, as we continue on here on Spaced Out Radio with Alex Mistretta, with this creature, has it been known to be aggressive towards humans?
Yeah, very. That's why a lot of fishermen are so scared of it, is because it attacks. It's aggressive towards the canoes with its tail. Was one of the reasons. There's one village apparently not all that far from Mokele-Mbembe territory. It's one last village. I forgot what it's called, but they only go up so far as to not disturb these animals because they've been known to defend their territory. But they don't bite. They don't eat man. That sort of thing. They're just aggressive when you get too near.
So in other words, maybe if they have a motor on the back of the boat, that could freak the animal out, and that's where it starts swishing its tail, trying to sink the boat to get away from whatever it is that's invading its territory.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the tail, essentially, it's one weapon. So, yeah.
Could this also be the creature that we call the Loch Ness Monster, or Ogopogo, or Champ, or Winnie up in Lake Winnipeg? I mean, there are sea monsters absolutely everywhere, seen in lakes and streams around this beautiful world of ours. Could we be looking at the same type of creatures, Mokele-Mbembe?
So I'm glad you asked that, because no, maybe yes. So like when you start talking about, Loch Ness, Champ, these are all aquatic animals, right? They have flippers, which Mokele-Mbembe doesn't. Even Loch Ness has been observed on land. So, but it seems to just crawl on land according, to the sightings and that sort of thing. And you can make a case for, from Loch Ness to Ogopogo, whatever, being mammals, right? Even the Cadbrosaurus, you have that one film out of Alaska from a few years ago of a sea monster swimming up and down. It's obviously, it swims like a mammal. And, and my premise is that Mokele-Mbembe would actually be a mammal and not a dinosaur. But aside from those differences, and the similarities, obviously, is sort of the long neck and a small head, which I think tends to get exaggerated in Loch Ness reports, but it's a whole other story. So there are similarities, right? Taking account, that Mokele-Mbembe is a quadruped and Nessie and friends is this 100% aquatic animal. But here's the one similarity that no one really has talked about. It sort of bugs me a little bit. Is, you hear the stories about the horns?
Yeah.
At Loch Ness and some other lake monsters are presumably maybe a breathing apparatus, and that's how it stays underwater and is able to breathe and not be seen. That's also something that in some reports have been observed with Mokele-Mbembe. And again, we don't have a plethora of sightings of that with Mokele-Mbembe, so this is purely, hypothetical, more than I usually like to get into. But then it started me thinking, maybe there is a species relationship between the two, where Mokele-Mbembe is kind of like the land quadruped, semi-aquatic version of whatever species, Nessie and friends turn out to be. So maybe there's a long-distance relationship, like, gorilla and chimps, for example, something related, but not, not the same species specifically.
Why do we not see this creature, and I'm saying Mokele-Mbembe here, in more areas outside of this one river in the Congo?
We used to. There's stories all over Africa, but especially in Zambia and through other spots, it seems to be extinct from there today. But you've got sightings you've had sightings in South America. Sir Percy Fawcett talked about an exact same animal that he said that he claimed to have observed in South America. And if you look at culture around the world and some of the ancient art form, every single one of them, or maybe not every single, but a lot of them, all over South America, a lot in Asia, have art that seems to depict a type of sauropod, which is something you have in Africa as well. And remember, dinosaurs and sauropods weren't discovered until the late 1800s. So from that standpoint, you can make a case that this animal used to be widespread worldwide back just back in the day in Roman times, because even the Romans have talked about it a little bit. And you can make a case that Bel and the Dragon, from the Apocrypha in the Bible, is a story of Mokele Membe, that it could have been more widespread once upon a time. Today, I think that most of those are completely extinct, and I think the Congo Basin, or specifically up in the Ja River, might be the only spot left for these animals. Even though I'm still intrigued by some of the sightings in South America, but I doubt that some of those are still around today. Malaysia used to actually have used to talk about a similar animal they used to call the ular tadang, which apparently might be extinct today. They used to be I forgot what it was called, somewhere around India. There used to be also sightings, but back in 1800s, 1700s, that sort of thing. So I think it was a more widespread species once upon a time, but like everything, like a lot of animals, habitat shrink, and eventually they're on the way to extinction, which is why I think this subject is so urgent to me, because it's, aside from Bigfoot, this might be the biggest biological story in history, and if we don't do something about it soon, it's a species that may go completely extinct, and we're going to miss an opportunity to save it, and that would be catastrophic for me.
So in a nutshell, here's, we've got about 2.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight. In a nutshell, when we look at this creature, how many on this planet do we think there are in that jungle?
Oh man, that's really, honestly, I have no idea. I'm not real good at that. I would guess not more than maybe 1,000. That's the ultimate most. And like I said, I think you don't need that many for the species to survive. But that would be my guess. Maybe 1,000 at most. And that's an absolute most. It could be as low as 100. Honestly, I have really no idea. There's no way to tell, because we've gone to such a small area of their all habitats. We've maybe explored, and not me, but other explorers, let's say 1% of where this animal might be. So from that small data, it's really hard to tell what the numbers are.
What would it take to discover this creature?
$1 million.
And how much time?
I'd say 5 years. If you give me $1 million, 5 years is usually my time frame for everything. 100% guarantee I would find this for you. 100%.
How would you do it just by giving you $1 million?
Besides, obviously, it will allow us to stay down there a little bit longer. I have a bigger team. I'd have balloons up in the air so we can go silently. I'd have which is something that we had in our expedition priorly. We also had gliders, so so it's silent over the air. I'd have helicopters to be able to go deep in the jungle and establish a base there. That sort of thing. Just a lot of equipment, a submersible, which is something else that actually I had in my initial expedition before it was canceled. Those things cost a lot of money, but I'd have a big team. I mean, you need, the problem is you need to be able to stay on the terrain, and this is the most inhospitable place on the planet, right? You need doctors, you need a whole escort, right, for safety. If you have a lot of guys with guns, the posters are less of a problem. And all that stuff, it adds up real quick. But mostly I'd have an assault from under the water, through the jungle, and from the air. I'd attack it from all different angles. And eventually I think you'd be able to triangulate to a better area. And little by little, you'd get to small area where, there might be more of them living.
Right. Hold that thought. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Alex Mistretta talking Mokele Mbembe. We'll continue with the Strange Cryptid Talks right next on Spaced Out Radio. And we're clear. Do I go fill up my water bottle now, or my glass now, or do I go at the next half hour? I'm down to I'm down to about an eighth of water here.
So is that almost empty, or half full?
No. I went 8th. I went American on you, dude.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. Good, because you'd have lost me.
I didn't even go metric. I gotta go run and grab some water. Hold on, okay?
All right, go for it.
Hey, bro, I'm back. I'm filled up with water now. Filled up.
Nice.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Africa?
No, definitely from lack of trying. But actually, never been there. It sucks. We were about 2 weeks away from we got first trip down there, and then civil war erupted. Like,
Yeah, nice timing, eh?
yeah, it's so hard to time it down there because your escorts 1 week or freedom fighters the next week, and you can't go to the rainy season. You have to go to the non-rainy season. It's like there's like this. You have such a small window. It's so hard to properly organize.
Damn it. Right, we've got 2.5 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Two minutes. $80-some degrees there right now. You dirty
In my
bastard.
apartment, yeah, it's 85 right now. It was hot today. I think this is like the last week, though, probably. But
Dirty Fylth in the chat room says, Alex, I will join you and drop an elbow on Mokile Mbembe off the top ropes.
all right.
Hello, Andrew Harbinson, the Harbinson of Death. See what I did there? Nice word play. Reverend Keith, can I get an amen, buddy? Dave, would the guest make love to a Bigfoot if she saved his life? I bet you Alex would. Absolutely he would.
Anything for the cause. Anything for research.
When Alex comes up here, we are putting him in some leather chaps, shirtless, with a dog collar chained towards a tree in a Bigfoot area, just to see what will happen. And the best part is he volunteered.
As long as you film it.
Of course there's gonna be trail cams all over the place.
We're all good.
Oh God, Fylth is gonna draw that. Oh, you have to, Fylth. You have to. Make sure he's shirtless. I think Alex has a third nipple too. Oh. All right. Super chat is open. Store is open on our website. Give us a thumbs up if you're new or down, whatever you choose. Let's do this thing right now. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I'm Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue talking strange cryptid creatures tonight with Alex Mistretta on the show. Last hour, we were talking about Mokili Mbembe. Is there a dinosaur or a sauropod walking around the jungles of Africa? Let's go over to the oceans, Alex, because you know, you're a type of guy, you like to go out in the ocean. You like to, you know, go wrestle with squid and, you know, surf with the sharks. I'm just not into that, okay? It's, you know, scares the daylights out of me even thinking about it. But I'm going to ask you, the ocean's a pretty big place. Very big place. Do you think, like I do, that there's still a chance that Megalodon is around?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a chance. There's been some intriguing sightings. But again, you know, we kind of latch on to Megalodon because that's kind of like the most popular and it's fantastic. But, you know, it could be another type of shark similar to Megalodon that, you know, that approaches the same size, kind of looks similar and just an entirely different species. But for example, in the South Pacific, near Polynesia, there's something they call the Lord of the Deep, where it's this giant, you know, white shark, you know, 2-3 times the size of a great white that has been reported. So, yeah, I mean, we've explored 2% of the ocean?
5, I heard.
Yeah, right, at most, you know? In fact, I'm working on, I think I've told you before, and I'm not going to reveal it out here, but I'm working on something that has to do with the ocean. And a big story with that right now on somebody that goes underwater, goes in deep, you know, and in the subs, and I've seen some things, so hopefully, if that can bear fruits, maybe I can have some good stories for you. But, yeah, I mean, there has to be amazing things down there.
Well, one of the
Megalodon.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sightings that I believe that there is something bigger out there, and maybe not Megalodon, that's just the popular name. Okay, but a number of years ago, and I recall seeing this on the news because I was working at the radio station at the time. Then I saw the video footage where in Australia, where they have the netting going around the beaches to protect the swimmers. And sometimes sharks will swim underneath them or jump over them or whatever it may be. And most of the time it keeps most of the big sharks out. But there was one, I believe it was like a 15-foot great white shark. And it had one bite in it right around its neck. And the bite mark started at the spine and ended on the other side of the body at the spine. And they were measuring that the shark that did that had to be a minimum of Jaws size, which was 30 feet. Now, that's a big creature, man. That's an absolute big creature, considering the biggest shark that we have filmed was Big Blue, and she was only 20 feet long. I believe weighed up to 5 tons or something like that.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, in theory, as sharks grow older, if they stay alive, they can keep growing. So I think I would go I could see a great white going up to 30 feet, maybe even 40. You know, once you get getting past that, you have to go to another species. So I wouldn't rule out just gigantic great whites, you know, to begin with. But again, you know, we're talking with sharks. It's not like, you know, we don't have a whole lot of fossils, right, for sharks. We have teeth. That's pretty much it because they have cartilage and not bones. So there could be, hundreds of giant species of sharks that have gone extinct or they used to exist, maybe still exist, then that we would have no clue about. We have no idea. So I think it's one of the most likely animal that exists, a much bigger shark than a great white. There's plenty of room. And there, a lot of those are cold water and deep water species. So, and something people don't realize too, it's not only about the amount of ocean we've explored, but we have very specific shipping lanes. Everybody goes to the same areas, ships, launch the same coast, they go the same way. The rest of the ocean, it's just wide open and there's no reason to go down there. So, I mean, if there's anywhere where there's a lot of room, it's the ocean.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, there is so many hiding places, more so than land. Okay, obviously, to make a real scientific explanation on the ocean, it's bigger than all the land combined. Yes, I am that obvious in my research. Okay, and we haven't even, we can only go to certain depths. There are depths that we will never see on this planet unless we figure out how to scientifically deal with the pressure of the ocean where there's no oxygen and no light.
Well, we can't right now, and here's the thing, it's something I probably should have mentioned in relation to Mokele-Mbembe as well, because this is equally valid here, is we're essentially in the middle of a mass extinction in the ocean, specifically because of pollution and partly what's happening in Japan and all that. Millions of species could be gone in the next few years, so, which is, to me, is the best argument for finding these animals, whether you're talking with, Megalodon or Mokele-Mbembe, to be able to save them from extinction and learn, and also learn what makes these animals so successful, why they've been able to stick around and stay hidden, because we can learn from that and help us, save other species from extinction and that sort of thing. And that's why I think it's so, so very important. But the ocean specifically, I mean, if you look at the level of pollution, and obviously, especially the Pacific Ocean, because of, the nuclear reactor in Japan, we're running out of time. To be quite honest, we're in the middle of a mass extinction here. So, and that's what really worries me about all these animals, Megalodon, possible Megalodon included.
Okay, so this creature has been known throughout history. If you go back 2-3 million years when it was said to exist, seems so long ago, yet in the history of this planet, could be last week. But
yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, in reality. Okay, so when we look at this, and we look at this creature, and the only thing that we normally find are teeth, because all the cartilage literally breaks apart in the ocean. It is eaten by crustaceans, and the ocean liveth and the ocean taketh. And so that's all we have is the teeth and the odd jaw markings. That's not a lot to go on. Yet this is a creature that has been found, and evidence has been found in every ocean around, I believe below the 49th parallel. I mean, there's evidence of this thing everywhere. I mean, could a creature or a shark at 60, 70 feet long still be out there without being detected?
Absolutely. Easily, even. If it stays away from, where we're at, and, if it doesn't frequent the 5% of the ocean that we go to, easily. Size doesn't matter in the ocean. I mean, there's probably giant species of whales that we haven't discovered yet, or sea monsters or whatever, so it's not a matter if it can. 100% it absolutely could. It's just a question of whether it does exist. But I mean, there's absolutely no biological barrier for it not existing today. None.
But there's enough military radars that are sitting underneath the ocean at incredible depths, trying to see what the latest Russian or Chinese or American submarine is, that could capture one of these things on radar if it's that big.
Yeah.
And
that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. It's possible that they have, but if they're, looking for Chinese subs or Russian subs, it's, very specific places. It's going to be they might not want to reveal where they're at either, though. So maybe they have seen evidence of megalodon or other things, and you hear the stories every once in a while, but they can't reveal it because it would give away what part of the ocean they're looking at and where they're stationed and where they have this radar and where they're looking for Chinese or Russian subs, right? So there might be, you have to kind of take that into account. But I mean, it's it's the same argument for every cryptid on the planet, right? We really should have better proof of Bigfoot, of Megalodon, of Morecambe Member, whatever, if you think about it, but we don't. But if we did, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. So, it's a little bit of a catch-22, a philosophical catch-22. But I really think that there's evidence of it somewhere on somebody's radar. It just hasn't come to light. Maybe.
Could be. Do you see it swimming in more of the heated waters, like maybe around Australia or Africa or countries around the equator?
No, most of the sightings around the equator and warmer brothers have been more in terms of undiscovered, sea creatures, have been more of reptilian types, I think, for Megalodon, obviously the South Pacific, I've mentioned that, but maybe, in deep cold water. Or, there's that interesting story out of the Jacques Cousteau story out of Djibouti. Have you ever heard that story from?
No, fill me in.
So I saw it actually when I was in France. It was on the news. There was a cryptozoologist and a biologist, I forgot who it was, and they were talking about it on the news. And it's an unconfirmed story, so I have no idea if it's true or not. But there's a gulf in Djibouti, and in Africa. And I forgot the name of the gulf exactly. But there's been stories of so-called sea monster from that area. And that turned into sightings of megalodon. So in any case, or alleged sighting of megalodons. So anyway, Cousteau was down there apparently, according to this story, unconfirmed, years ago, and he was interested in these stories, and he dumped a camel in a cage to see if an animal would act aggressively towards the camel. Now, for those that don't know, Cousteau was a little bit of a dick, and he wasn't beyond sacrificing animals if he had to. He wasn't always the affable French guy that you see on television. And so anyway, the story is that he dumped his camel in a cage and dumped it underwater, and they had cameras and actually filmed the whole thing. And something giant came out and bit through the cage and killed the camel and swam away. And supposedly, Cousteau didn't want to talk about it, and his quote was like, the world's not ready for what I've seen. And it's an interesting story, and and I'm on the fence about it because there's actually no proof. There's been a couple different sources that have told the story. One of them being an alleged Djibouti soldier that was down there at the time. But again, all the Cousteau people have denied the story. But because, again, there's stories of a big animal in this area, that would be an area I'd be interested in checking out, off the coast of Djibouti. And unlike some of the sightings of megalodon in the South Pacific, which is really in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the ocean, this is something that's become somewhat accessible. So if I was to pick 10 spots, to focus on my research, that would certainly be one of them, because even though the evidence isn't fantastic, because it's so accessible, I think it's, it'd be a good spot to look.
Let's change gears here for another second, because one of the cryptids that I believe is still alive, and I think we're getting closer, and many people, both in Australia and New Zealand, seem to believe this as well, is the thylacine, or the Tasmanian tiger.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to pick one of the cryptids that gets discovered in the next 3 years, that'd be number one on the list. Now,
this is a creature that is said to have been extinct for, well, we're in 2020 now, so almost 90 years.
In Tasmania. Hundreds of years on the mainland, though.
Right. The last one was a male that passed away in a zoo, I believe.
Yeah, in the 1930s, I think it was.
Yeah. So why do you think that within the next short amount of time, this is going to be the one?
Because it seems there's more pictures, more videos, more people, more sightings coming out of this animal. It seems to be increasing, which means that it's not disappearing, it's not going extinct. It seems like. And so obviously there seems to be a greater number of it, and because it's on the increase, you just have to assume just by chance and by luck, at some point someone's going to get a definitive picture or a film, and scientists are going to get interested, and and part of that too is that because it's less of an incredible animal, we know exactly what it is. I think a lot more institutions, or scientists and expeditions are more likely to happen for this animal than any other, because you're not going to lose your funding and think you're crazy going to look for the thylacine versus going to look for Bigfoot. So ultimately, I think there's going to be more of a study of this, and there's a good chance that they're going to find it. And honestly, 1930, that's like yesterday, and even a couple hundred years on the mainland, that's literally like a second ago from it, biological standpoint. So I think, it's going to get discovered soon.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I hope so, because I think if the thylacine is able to come back on its own, I really think that a civilized country like Australia, New Zealand, and Tasmania will understand that you don't get very many second chances. And this would be a very good opportunity to try and, rebuild this population if you can find where they're living.
Yeah. It's, I think unlike some of the other cryptids, like I said, like I was just kind of saying, I think the increase in sightings in recent years, and, there's been a couple of decent films, suggests to me that unless people are just getting super lucky of late, that the population seems to be an increase, at least on the mainland, and that's promising, I think. I hope.
Have you talked to any cryptozoologists in Australia about this?
No, not specifically. I unfortunately didn't have the money to go, but I knew there's a guy down there. She's I don't remember if she's French or anyway, she's not native, but she lives out there. She does a lot of work in the Aboriginal population, way in the outback. And obviously she gave me an invitation to come by and talk to these people and go on and out in the bush and look. And she says there's a lot of things out there that that aren't supposed to exist, that animals that we don't know about. So I'd assume thylacine might be one of them. But so I've always wanted to follow up on that. I've been to Australia once as a kid, but I've always wanted to follow up on that. I think there's Australia. Honestly, Australia is a gold mine.
Oh yeah,
we should be doing so much. I mean, both from a cryptozoology and a UFO standpoint as well. By the way, we should be doing so much more work in Australia.
Yeah, they got some weird creatures there.
Yeah, I mean, she was. I mean, and like I said, she was. I think she might have had an anthropology degree as well. I'm not sure what her background was, but she went to work down there. Had no interest in that sort of thing at all. But then, she's. I don't know if she's had sightings. I don't. I never got to talk to her that much, but she was saying that for sure. There's a lot of strange animals out there, and that and the people and the Aborigines that she knows where they are. So, yeah, there's definitely work to be done in Australia.
Well, the other thing too about this creature is, I think what it has going for it is the public would love for this creature to be back, and damn well that when the public wants something, they will do whatever it takes to keep it. All right, we've seen that with charitable organizations. We've seen that with other animals when there seems to be an issue. I realize we've done a terrible job with the rhino population and elephant populations in Africa, but that's hard to get to. It's hard to protect around the poachers and everything along those lines. I'm not making excuses, but usually when people want something, they're able to raise the money for it. And I believe strongly that if this creature is found to be alive in some pocket of Australia or in that entire continent, I think the uproar of happiness is going to make sure that this creature absolutely comes back to full extent until it becomes a pain in the butt, and then we got to take a few out. You know how it works.
Yeah, man, that's an excellent point. I've never really thought of that. But you're right. It is almost like a national. It would become like a national pride because it's the thylacine is just a symbol of Tasmania and that part of the world. So it's their animal in that sense, and I could see, them wanting to protect it, them wanting to find that whole deal. One thing I should have mentioned, though, about another reason I think we're going to find the thylacine is this new technique called eDNA, environmental DNA. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but to me, it's our best new tool in cryptozoology, bar none, period. So the way it works is, like, I know I've talked about in the past, like, for example, in certain areas where there's leeches, right, where there's been Bigfoot sightings or Mokami sightings, you can take a leech, right, and you can test the blood for DNA, right, because the leech will suck the blood from different species, and you can tell what species are around in that area or have been, in that part of have been bitten or sucked by the leech, right? But now they've taken that to a whole other level where, for example, if you have a Bigfoot track, you can take environmental DNA from the ground or from a river where a Bigfoot or a thylacine drank some water, and that DNA tells you what animal's been there, within the last week and so forth. And that technique is brand new. And knowing, I think with sightings of thylacines being pretty close to habitation and where people live, you wouldn't even have to go that far to test that out. You can take environmental DNA of, obviously every animal drinks, right? All the rivers, all the, all the ponds, and all that area. And I think that could be the way the thylacine is going to be found ultimately, through environmental DNA, which could be used again for absolutely every cryptid on the planet. I think it's a huge, huge, huge weapon for us.
I agree. And hopefully we can. But it would be nice to see the rest of the world jump on a lot of these animals, okay, that could still be, saved the way we would love to do that with the thylacine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you're preaching in a choir there. I mean, my whole approach is, saving these animals. So yeah, absolutely.
We've got just under 2 minutes here before we go to break here at the top of the hour. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Sticking with the thylacine one more time here. You mentioned that there have been more photographs, more videos being taken of this creature. Is it just a matter of time before we get that alleged video? Because here's the thing that I've noticed. The blurriness, man. The blurriness of these photos and videos.
Yeah, it's like I know it's a running joke, to make fun of what we do. But yeah, you're right. It's annoying. But yes, it's only a matter of time, I think, which is what I've been saying for 20 years, but for pretty much everything. But still, I mean, with this, everybody has a cell phone now. It's not the advantage of thylacine has, again, because it's close to habitation, is that you have people that walk around with cell phones, and cell phones take great pictures. So hopefully, where you don't always have that, and even in Bigfoot, after a lot of times, after you spend 2 days out in a forest, you're out of battery, so you don't have your cell phone camera. Here I think there's a strong possibility that someone's gonna get a film and a picture at some point. At least I hope so.
I hope so too, because it would be nice rather than the ever popular blob squatch that we get for absolutely everything. I'm getting tired.
You have no idea.
I'm getting tired
about
how many
that. Pictures.
How does it happen?
Yeah.
Every single time. Every single time. Alex, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because what we're going to do here is we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour, 2 hours down. We got 1 hour to go on Spaced Out Radio, and we thank our good friend Alex Mistretta for hanging on out with us. We're going to continue talking with the monsters. We're going to continue talking about other paranormal. Maybe we'll get into more ghosts this last half hour with Alex. And then we got the thought of the day, the SOR Newswire. Jam-packed hour 3 of the mighty SOR. Next. Alex, I'm just going to run my dog out again, okay? I'll be right back.
All right, cool.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get bumblefucked?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
All right. I've decided.
Hello, everyone.
Alex, let's get more into the paranormal side the last half hour.
Sure. Whatever you want.
Oh, you're back off from your microphone a little bit. You're sounding really hot.
Well, I can't help that.
Oh, yeah. You're just so hot.
How's that better?
Yeah, better. Thank you.
I might have been too close to the phone, yeah.
Hi, Nikki! By the way, just a quick update on for everybody who's been following the story over the last few days, my little boy. I talked to his teacher today, and I got some good news. Some very good news. My son is one of her favorite students, and he is, in her 20, 30 some years of teaching, one of the brightest students that she has ever had in grade 823. And anyways, apparently in class he is very popular with people because he has quite an imagination. And he combines that imagination with knowledge, sometimes going a little too far. But she also says that part of the problem that he's having right now is he's trying to befriend some of the bad kids. You know, every school has good kids and bad kids. And so that's what she is trying to steer him away from, because she sees an incredible talent in him. And so we're working with him. She's working with him. And, you know, she understands what has happened. And for the last couple of days, it's been a very hot topic of conversation within the classroom. And I'm pretty happy, I tell you. Felt like a giant weight lifted off my shoulders. So I'm a pretty proud dad. And and yeah, so let's kick off hour 3 right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. I am Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us, Clamster? Oh, yeah. Zalam da donut. No, it's not da donut. Zalam da dot. Da don't. Da don't. Da don't. Da don't. Da don't. Zalam ba da don't. I don't know how to pronounce this tongue twister, but the clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Alex Mistretta. He's a researcher into everything Fortean, paranormal, supernatural, and he's based out of California, does not own a t-shirt, can be seen surfing on the beaches of L.A. and Huntington Beach. He's one of them bad boys, but we like him around here. Alex, welcome back.
Thank you for having me on. Hermosa Beach, not Huntington Beach, man.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. What is it, like 3 kilometers?
No, Hermosa to Huntington would be, actually, I would be about close to 40 probably.
Oh, close enough.
Sure.
Close enough. It's a stone's throw away. Can we use that? Will you allow us to use stone's throw away?
Absolutely.
Perfect. There we go. Shows the Canadian in me. All right, Alex, let's get into some paranormal. We spent the last hour talking about a lot of these strange cryptids around there, but you also have a real fascination with these cryptid creatures. Now, you have a photograph out there that is absolutely incredible, okay? And you talk about this is the type of evidence that we need in order to try and prove the existence of paranormal activity and ghosts. First off, and I'm going to be downloading this to show our YouTube people here, okay? And but I want to know, buddy, just for the sake of your own self, explain this picture. Give us the details of what happened.
Okay, so I was in Brittany in France, which is I was doing research for my book at the time. I was planning to do a chapter, which I never did, on King Arthur and that legend, and anyway, and the Holy Grail. So, so is an area actually that people don't know in Brittany that is very much tied to Arthurian mythology. There's a story of Morgan Le Fay having a castle there. There's a tomb there that supposedly is where Merlin really died, according to local lore. And Lancelot, spent some time down there. But there's also a place called the Lake of the Fairies and a forest that exists there that has a paranormal reputation. So I was there with 2 other people. Actually, it was my mom and my stepdad because they paid for the trip. This was right after college. So it was a long time ago. And then and so I thought this spot, the lake with the fairies, with there's reputation of people disappearing and all that, and that would be a great spot to go and investigate. And we went at the time of year, there's not so many people, so we more or less had the forest to ourselves. So we're gone and we're walking for we're about I would say 20 minutes to half an hour into the forest. And this being in the late 90s, early 2000s, I still was using a 35 millimeter camera. And the way I work in areas where I feel are worthy of it, I just take picture after picture. I mean, we're talking about roll after roll after roll, just nonstop, right? Where mostly my stepdad at the time was taking most of the picture. And my mom is a little bit psychic. And so we get to this one area. So we go around the bend. So we're walking, there's one trail going in, one trail going out in this one little area. On my right-hand side, there's obviously some kind of ancient structure. There's a little bit, it looks like, called it a fort because it looks like it's made out of wood. I have no idea what it was. And to my left, there's a little river. And there's this little area before that you could see when you come around the bend. And behind that is the actual lake, the Lake of the Fairies, where supposedly, Morgan Le Fay used to hang out. And all of a sudden, my mom started feeling a little weird, and she gets letters on her arms in certain places. I've seen them before. Right? It's not like you don't have words. There's no rhyme or rhythm to it, but it's just like it looks, it could look like an A or B or whatever, right? Just letters on the arms. And so at that point, I'm like, well, we should hang out here. So we stood there for about 20 minutes and just took picture after picture after picture. Didn't see anything, right? Just my mom said she felt weird, and that was that. So we went on our way and went back to Paris and developed the pictures. And in one of the pictures was this girl that was clear as day. She was, so when I was saying you come around the bend, so we're on this little trail, and then there's this little river that's coming down. So if you're facing the river, facing where the lake is at, she was staying right there next to a tree. And obviously we didn't see anything, we were like, again, 3 of us were there for 20 minutes. And we took all those pictures and there's nobody there. And only one of the pictures, however, she showed up. A picture's taken 2 seconds later, nothing there. And there's no way for her to get there because we would have seen her coming. And like I said, she couldn't have come in from the back of that. And she's clear as day, but she's very modern looking. She also has red hair, which I thought was kind of interesting because in a lot of lore, the Lady of the Lake, what they call Viviane in Brittany, was kind of depicted as kind of having long red hair, which this figure had. And but she's dressed in a very modern clothes. She has a coat on, it seems, and she kind of seems to be staring at us. And again, nobody saw her, and she only appeared in an entire roll of 35. There may be about, I say, 4 or 5 pictures of that one particular spot, take it second apart, and she only appeared in one frame.
I have the picture up on our YouTube channel right now, and I think a lot of people are kind of weirded out by the fact because they don't believe the lady with the red hair and the dark coat on is actually a ghost.
Yeah, no, I know, and I get that. I've had people swear at me on Facebook, insult me, call me this and that because of that picture. But all I can tell you is I don't know what it represents. I don't know who it is. All I can say is that we were there standing still for 20 minutes, facing that area, taking pictures. We didn't see anybody, and it was literally impossible for her to appear in just one of the pics. So, that's all I got. I can't prove it, and I have no hypothesis or theory or anything on who she is and why she's there.
The weird part about that photo is how clear it is, but around her face, all of a sudden it's blurry. Now, that could be exposure because of the branches that are close by, and there's more focus on the branches. But I find it very ironic that her body and her hair is very much in focus, yet her face is not.
Yeah, people point that out, and I have mixed feelings about it. And I don't know if it's a byproduct of just, you're right, of just taking a picture in those conditions. And you also have to remember the picture essentially is, I have the full picture here. Most of the pictures, I don't know which version of it you put online, but I've had various versions where I've taken pictures with my cell phone of the original picture and try to enhance it and all that. So, the quality might not always be great, but yeah, I don't know.
Very interesting. How tall do you think she is compared to the trees that are around?
I estimated probably around my mom's height, so I would be about 5'4", 5'3", 5'5", maybe in that range.
And were you able to do any investigation to see if maybe there was a murder in the area? Because she does look very modern.
Yeah, no. We were gone away from the area. Next thing I know, I was back in LA. So usually just, it takes about a couple of weeks to get the pictures back, right? So by the time we get the pictures back, we already had been gone from the area for, over a week and a half or 2 weeks or whatever. So no, I always planned to go back, but never really had a chance to.
To me,
and obviously,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, obviously, I looked briefly on the internet to see if somebody had been murdered or whatever that looks like that, or she resemble anybody in the area. But I couldn't find anything specific.
How long ago did you take that photo? If you were still using actual film?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'd have to look back on my. Well, actually, I kind of lost my notes because they're on my old computer. But it had to be around 2000, something like that.
Right. So just before the digital camera era.
Yeah, I didn't even have a cell yet. I didn't even have a cell phone at the time. So.
Did he have a shirt on?
Yeah, it was cold, man.
Okay. I don't believe you, but I believe this is more of a ghost photo than you were wearing a shirt there. That's just me.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say, Alex, is for a lot of people out there, we pray to get this evidence. We pray to get a photograph like this. I personally I've never taken one, but I have two in my possession. One of the ghost on the stairwell, which I've sent to you. And I'm not sure if I sent you the next one, which was, I just received this about 3 weeks ago, about the lady at the concert.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Looking over her brother's shoulder. And she had been dead for almost a decade up until that point. We pray for evidence like that. Pray for it. But the minute it comes out, everybody wants to scoff at it, yell at you or the photographer or the person whomever is bringing it out for another person, or I'm so skeptic that there is no way this is true because I want to be the one. I don't know, like with the analytics on the photo of the guy on the stairwell that I have. Okay. Yeah. I don't know how many times I had these unknown or fringe paranormal groups saying, can you send us the original copy? I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see if it's real. And I said, who are you? And why do I care if you think it's real? Because the chances of you coming out and supporting this photo, even though you're a nobody in this field, is slim to none. And you're going to try and make a name off of my show or my reputation as someone who is going to debunk me. And I also had professionals who've been doing this for a long time, two of them, David Weatherly being one, Butch Witkowski being two.
Both excellent, my man.
Yeah, to analyze this photo. And both of them were completely stunned by it. But there's always those fringe people out there that will absolutely carve it up unless they are the ones who are breaking it down. And my question to them is always, who are you? Did you get a lot of that?
Oh, man, I've been getting it for the last 20 years. Yeah, that's I get it more, strangely enough, where I get a lot of it was mostly with Bigfoot, like with my Bigfoot sighting and the tracks I found. And I mean, everybody just came out of the woodworks, at that point, just ganging up on me. It was bizarre. But that picture is not so much. I mean, obviously, I told you I've had a few people just downright just absolutely insulted me and call me every book and every name in the book. But most people that, honestly, when I show the picture, I honestly think that 80% of the people don't realize that I'm actually showing a picture of a ghost, because it's so clear. I think they just think I'm showing people of somebody I know or a stand-in for something that I've seen. I don't think they actually, because, people basically, you put something up on YouTube or Twitter, they read like the first sentence and that's pretty much it. I don't think most people even realize what that picture really is.
Is that really the idea, okay, of your photos, of my photos, and there's other good ones out there. Is that really the problem with the paranormal is unless we get it ourselves, we don't want to believe it? Because let's face it, it's really cool these days to be the skeptic.
Yeah, you're right. It's very in, So, yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the problems. There's obviously a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of it just stems from ego, but and it's also, we're also in this age where it's really cool. It's like that thing about I remember I was watching an interview with Bono from U2 and was telling the story behind the story about the rich guy on the hill and the difference between the way Irish people view the big guy on the hill and Americans view it. Americans view it, that guy's cool, I want to be like him. And the Irish is like, let's go over there and kick his ass. Well, today we're all like the Irish and Bono's story. It's very in to just want to tear somebody down. So I think that's a big part of it. It's just, the zeitgeist has changed in so many negative ways, especially here in America. I think, and that plays into it.
It really is too bad. It really is too bad because this is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what we want. And we don't buy it. We don't buy it at all. In your estimate, go ahead, please.
I'll say, and I think that's a huge, huge problem because I bet you there must be tons of pictures just like this out there. There must be some great UFO pictures that we're not seeing, some great Bigfoot pictures. I've been told of fantastic Bigfoot pictures that people don't want to show me. Now, granted, some of them might be, full of crap, but people are afraid to show their evidence. They don't want to be criticized. And we're missing out on so much data, so much, evidence that we could be having, but we're not. And that's where it really hurts us.
That's actually where I was going with my next question is if you weren't in this field and you had that photo, would you release it?
Probably not. No.
See,
honestly,
I have a video. Here's something you don't know. Here's something you don't know about me. I have a video, a 6-second video of that my daughter caught of a fairy in her bedroom. And I have chosen, this happened probably, I believe, 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 years ago. And I have chosen not to release it to anybody. There's certain people. I've sent it to like Ronald Murphy. I've sent it to David Weatherly. I've sent it to Butch Witkowski because those are people that I've trusted. Okay, but I've never released it. Number one, because this is what happens. I release it to the public immediately. I'm going to be accused of doctoring the video. There's going to be a bunch of experts out there who don't understand that in the Canadian winters when this was taken, bugs aren't flying around. We don't get bugs in wintertime when it's minus 20 degrees Celsius. You know what I'm saying? The bugs are huddled up in the woods, in the trees, underground, wherever. They're not flying around like a common housefly.
Right, yeah.
Number three, I don't know how to Photoshop or video shop and take my daughter's face out of it. And I've had people offer, well, let me do it. No, then you've touched the video.
Yeah.
Right? Then you've touched the video. I'm not doing that. I could tell you, though, for 6 seconds, there is something flying in my daughter's room very awkwardly, very fast, on a real weird trajectory. And my daughter used to go outside and meditate in our backyard. And she would say, yeah, the fairies came and landed on my legs. Or the fairies came and landed on my arms. She had no reason to BS me.
Yeah.
Right? No reason to make it up. She used to wake up in the middle of the night to fairies floating around her room. She's very spiritually connected that way. But to the skeptics out there, the ones who got to be the experts, that means nothing. So why should I release it and put my daughter's face all over the internet over a bunch of people saying, that's a fly, that's a horsefly, that's a gnat? You know what I'm saying? It's not worth it.
I wouldn't really. Yeah, no, it's not. It's really not.
They don't understand. They don't want to understand the climate. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to understand. It's like with the Patterson-Gimlin film. We have a bunch of 21st century people trying to say that that's a costume, not realizing that nobody in 1966 or 67 when it was filmed is going to sew a pair of boobs on a costume just for a joke.
Yeah. I agreed. It's a hard thing too, because when people don't know you, like, part of Patterson film is part of the reason I believe it. For a lot of technical reasons, but because I met Bob several times, and I like the guy a lot. He comes across as about as credible as anybody I've ever talked to. So that plays into it as well. But that's part of the problem too. When you don't know people, if somebody sent me a great picture and I didn't know him, I'd be slightly skeptical too. I'm not going to tear it down, but unless it's an obvious fake, like the Tom Biscardi or something. But so it's a tough catch-22 in that sense, But like, for example, for you, I believe you because I know you. And I know your quality of character, and that's a big part of it. But people that don't know me, I would understand why they question my picture, even though I think it's been pretty obvious that, I'm a serious pain in the ass. I get that. I'm way too outspoken. I get that. But my honesty has never really been questioned, So, which is why I get mad when people question a picture, and I shouldn't. But I also get it. So it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of a philosophical catch-22 there with evidence,
Very true. Very true. We've got about 1 minute to go here before we have to say goodnight to you. And I want to say thank you for coming on in very short notice for an absolutely fantastic show tonight. And, with absolutely zero script, zero direction, I think we put together one hell of a show for our audience, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm glad I could help you out.
Oh, no worries. No worries. You're one of the good guys out there, Alex. Even though you swim with sharks and you don't own a T-shirt, it still amazes me that you get as much done and as much accomplished as you do. And you're one of the best out there, in my opinion, and thank you.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
All right. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we're going to go right into the SOR Newswire, where Captain Shirk has us all loaded up for some news. And I'm going to bring it. If you're going to bring it, I'm going to bring it too. And, of course, we have a jam-packed Thought of the Dave as well. Today's question, if you're wondering, what conversation would you like to have with extraterrestrials? How cool would that be? Sitting down over some brew or some of Alex's chamomile tea and talking some aliens. To some aliens. It'd be awesome. We'll be back. Take this thing home next. Good job, Alex. I'll give you a few claps for that, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope it was all right.
You're fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you for bailing me out, bro. Appreciate
Yeah, no
that.
problem, man. Yeah, no, anytime, you know.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I quickly put together a quick picture right at the beginning of the show, and so I used the one of you scuba diving.
Oh, cool. I mean, I am an
snorkeling.
international man of mystery. Hey, I am an international man of mystery, so that gets the point across.
You got that right. You got that right. All right. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting your ball game there, bro.
Oh, no worries, man. All right.
All right. Take care, eh?
Hi, Dave. Talk to you soon.
Rock and
Bye,
roll,
man.
buddy. Bye-bye. Thank you, Alex. How cool was that? Literally, I called him at 3 minutes before we go onto the onto the YouTube. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sitting watching the ball game. And he's like, I'm like, you want to come on the show? He's like, yeah, okay. I thought it was a good show, guys. You know, I really did. I thought it was a very good show. That's my opinion. Could be wrong. And Captain Shirk is well, she's got our news already. So let me just load it up here. That's 2. Three. Four. That's actually a cool story. 5. Lots of cool animal stories tonight. Love animal stories. Five. Six. Hmm. Do 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 do. Oh, that one's getting in there. Yeah, we're good now. We're good now. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight. I want to remind all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, do me a favor, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, here we go. Let's do this thing. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the downright awesome. Look, if you're like me, you absolutely hate wearing a mask. We do it because we want to make sure that other people are comfortable, they're safe. We know we're going to be safe, but there's a lot of people out there who have bad immune systems, or just want to wear a mask to do their part, right? Anyways, finally, a little bit of heaven that surrounds the cloth that we put on our faces. A United States company is now offering fans of breakfast meats the chance to enjoy the sense of sizzling pork anytime they want with a bacon-scented face mask. It is the face mask from God himself. Hormel said the Black Label Breathable Bacon Mask uses the latest in bacon smell technology to give the wearer the experience of smelling bacon anytime they don the COVID-19 protection accessory. Bacon fans can register to win a bacon-scented mask until October 28th at breathablebacon.com. Hormel Black Label Breathable Bacon is bacon-scented for an irresistibly breathable, heavenly aroma that you can keep all to yourself. The website states, Hormel said the company will donate one meal to Feeding America for every contest entry up to 10,000. That's wonderful that they're doing this for charity, but hot damn, I want one of these. I'm going to the website right now, just so you guys know. Oh yeah. It's got pieces of bacon looking like it's sizzling on them. Good job, Black Label. Okay. What sucks here for us Canadians, can't get them in Canada. So if one of you fellow Americans want to get me an early Christmas present, or if you feel like brawling early for an early Black Friday, because I know you all love a good brawl down there just as much as I do, Old Davey wants one of these. All right? I totally want one of these. By the way, the website says, do not attempt to eat Hormel Black Label Breathable Bacon. Breathable bacon smells great. Don't sleep on it. Keep facial orifices snugly covered to enjoy maximum whiffage. Whiffage. Fantastic. Good job, Hormel. Good job. Okay, here's a gross one. A well-known pastor from North Carolina is accused of urinating on a sleeping woman in the backseat of a plane as she returned to Detroit from Las Vegas. Alicia Beverly I'm trying not to laugh. Alicia Beverly had just spent a great time in Sin City and could not wait to get home on Monday night. they were on the red-eye flight. Pretty much everyone was asleep, including her. Alicia said she was curled up in the back seat next to her sister when abruptly being awoken to the feeling of being pissed on. It felt warm. Like on the side of me, I felt something warm, she said. In her sleepy haze, right at eye level, she saw something very unexpected. I jump up and I see this dude's private area out, and I screamed and woke everybody up. By that time, I actually looked at him, and I see him shake himself off, and I'm like, this man just peed on me. Oh, the poor soul. The poor soul. Yeah. She goes, I looked down, and there was a puddle of pee in the seats. She screamed and got the attention of everyone on the plane, including an off-duty police officer, who rushed over and restrained the man, a well-known pastor from North Carolina. According to the sources, the pastor had an apparent reaction to sleep aid. He didn't say anything the whole time he was standing there, Alicia said. Alicia stated that after being treated like in a bathroom, she sat in those wet clothes for several hours before landing at Detroit Metro. The pastor was taken into custody, but hasn't been charged yet. Representatives for the pastor allegedly weren't commenting on the incident. The FBI handles incidents in the air and will make its decision on charges. Naturally, Alicia is filled with anxiety, saying she slept only 4 hours since the incident. Additionally, she's grateful for the officer on the plane who took charge and that something was being done for the pastor's actions. That's not very godlike, to pee on someone. Unless you're in some sort of weird cult or something. Getting passionately attached to strange things is surprisingly common. People form emotional ties to anything from bands to sports teams, certainly makes of cars, and to a brand of beer. One thing that some folks get gung-ho over, despite its fairly objective awful nature, is Taco Bell. Yeah, one of the greatest restaurants ever created on this planet. You hear that, Taco Bell? You hear that? That's free advertisement for you, because the closest Taco Bell to me is 2 hours away, and I can smell it. Even some of his authors' best friends will not necessarily die, but then at least get seriously wounded on the Taco Bell hill. To anyone looking for torches and pitchforks right now, I'm sorry, but Taco Bell is just a million miles away from actually good food. Oh, this writer's a jerk. Doesn't even know what they're talking about. You know, why are we talking Taco Bell right now? Right? It's because of Brian Hoban in O'Fallon, Missouri, who wasn't going to sit idly by while Taco Bell got rid of its potato soft taco. He hopped in the car, went to the nearest Taco Bell, purchased 3 potato tacos. Once he returned home, however, he didn't consume the products. Instead, he placed them in his freezer. The vision? Make some money off of this. So what's he doing? He's got them on Facebook Marketplace going for $200 a piece. You can enjoy 3 mint-conditioned Taco Bell potato soft tacos from drive-thru to freezer. These babies are rare, never been eaten. You'd think this kind of hackneyed idea would fall hilariously wrong, but no, Hoban says he's actually got 2 of them sold. He apparently couldn't find a buyer for the full collection, sold them for $70 a piece, recouped his investment. You made money off of your investment. You didn't recoup it. You killed it by a huge profit margin. So, Hoban's vision goes far beyond simply selling Taco Bell products. Not only is this a trial, in the future, he plans an entire frozen discontinued fast food empire. I've had this idea of investment sandwiches where you buy a limited offer sandwich in bulk, freeze it, and then sell it later for profit. You know, like the McRib at McDonald's. It's only offered once a year, but the demand doesn't go away. So when I heard Taco Bell was discontinuing the potato soft, I decided it would be a good opportunity to test the idea out before the McRib season. Ridiculous as it sounds, Hoban has already proven that people will buy frozen fast food. He only has one taco left in his freezer, but the frozen treat is giving him cold feet about selling it. The soft potato taco was, after all, Hoban's favorite Taco Bell product. When he bought his trial tacos, he also purchased a bunch that he has frozen and later eaten himself. They're gone now. It's all that remains is the third solitary taco left in his freezer. Talk about decisions to make in life. Wow, I don't know if I could make that decision. Profit or eat it? I'm leaning towards eat it myself. Gross story here. A Michigan landlord who routinely clashed with tenants, he says kept them up all night because they liked to party and made a lot of noise, has allegedly confessed to murdering them after a blowout. Chad Reed was arrested Thursday and charged with 2 counts of open murder for killing his tenants, Joseph Soule and Jacqueline Leopard. Yeah, this isn't good. This is actually horrific. Last seen on October 7th, the couple's family members reported them missing on Monday, prompting police to begin investigating their disappearance. During the ensuing investigation, police received a tip from a source that Reed had allegedly confessed to killing the couple and hiding their bodies. Shortly after, Reed came to the police station and turned himself in and confessed to detectives. Reed allegedly told police that he and the tenants, who lived in an upstairs apartment in his small house, argued often. From everybody that we've talked to, it sounds like they had an ongoing dispute where they could not get along, Case said. They had arguments about money. They had arguments about you name it. So it was relatively common for him to complain to people that he was annoyed by them, didn't get along with them. The couple, Reed allegedly told him, also liked to party and kept him up late at night. He would tell other people that he had another bad night's sleep and couldn't sleep because of all the noise going on. It was a bad environment. Hey, buddy, how about instead of murder, you try evicting them? All right? What's wrong with a little eviction? It goes a long further than murder. Oh, yeah. So anyways, let's see where this goes. The tensions in the house reached a boiling point on the evening of October 7th. Reed told police that he and the couple began arguing yet again, only this time he claimed Soule pulled a knife on him. Reed told police that in self-defense he drew a gun and shot and killed Joey. Leopard tried running from the residence, at which time he ended up shooting her as well. Reed allegedly told police he followed her into the backyard and proceeded to beat and strangle her until she ended up passing away in the backyard. Reed allegedly told police that he wrapped the couple's bodies in plastic, put them into the back of his pickup truck. The bodies remained there for a couple of days, but then friends came over checking on them. They allegedly prompted Reed to drive the truck, with the bodies still inside, to a nearby abandoned garage and leave it there with the door shut. Oh, disgusting. Reed is being held in jail. He has not yet entered a plea. It's unclear whether he has retained an attorney who could comment on his behalf. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Florida City is selling dozens of its beloved swans to the public after birds donated by Queen Elizabeth II in 1957 has led to an overpopulation. Swans that lived in Lakeland, Florida since 1923, according to the city, but in 1953 had all been eaten by alligators and had fallen prey to dogs. A Lakeland woman who was living in England at the time wrote to the Queen to ask for a gift of swans. The given pair bred, and now 36 mute white swans are being sold. The city, which has a swan as its symbol, did a wellness check on the entire flock prior to the sale. Proceeds of the sales will go towards their $10,000 annual feeding budget. Oh, isn't that nice? These swans are beautiful. It'll be hard to say goodbye. Parks and Rec Supervisor Steve Platt, who is known as the Swan Father. The swans all live around Lake Morton in the city of 112,000 people, 35 miles east of Tampa. The city is charging $400 per swan. The buyers were chosen via raffle and were contacted to arrange a pickup. According to historians, a woman who was living in England while her husband was stationed there for the U.S. Air Force wrote to Buckingham Palace asking the Queen for a donation from her royal flock. She agreed as long as the Floridians raised the $300 to capture and safely import the breeding pair. While awaiting transport, a barge sank in London's Thames River, covering the pair in oil and delaying their journey. After they were cleaned off, they were successfully delivered to Lakeland on February 9th, 1957, but within a week, the pair had gone missing, triggering a frantic helicopter search before they were safely rediscovered. There had been other swan sales previously held in 2014 and 2011. Anyone who lives near a fresh body of water is welcome to apply for the lottery. I don't get that. Why would they sell them? What do they do with them? Hey, this is Milton the Swan. How you doing? A black man in Louisiana serving life in prison for stealing hedge clippers more than 2 decades ago has been granted parole months after the state Supreme Court declined to review his sentence. The Board of Pardons and Committee on the Parole voted Thursday to grant parole to Fairwayne Bryant, now 63. He served more than 20 years in prison at a state penitentiary in Angola. His attorney did not immediately return comment. How the hell do you get life in prison for stealing a pair of shears? You know, glad he's out. He deserves to be out. Shouldn't have been in there that long. Good for him. That's enough of that one. That's going to piss me off. A helicopter pilot helping to fight the Creek Fire in California snapped an odd photo. Yeah. So what happened? Well, when they're fighting the fires, they have one of their doors sliding open. You know, they keep them open. And Del Alpiner got the picture of something he didn't expect. What happened? Let's tell you. Dan's a pilot for the aircraft charter company Sky Aviation, was helping conduct water drops on the Creek Fire in Fresno and Madera counties when an owl flew in the window and perched calmly inside the helicopter. It's odd to have an owl enter an aircraft, Sky Aviation said. It's unheard of to have it enter while the helo is in flight. It's unexplainable and magical for a miracle for it to stay with you for several water drops, then leave just as it arrived, safe and unannounced. Alpiner said he was initially concerned the owl would fly dangerously around the cockpit, but it rode with him calmly for several minutes before flying back out the window. What an experience. It's like it was guiding him. Yeah, can you just drop that over here? You know, that's just wonderful. Just wonderful. And finally tonight, oh yeah, this is a good one. One of about 40 cows that escaped from a farm in Victoria, Australia was found less than a mile away after it wandered onto a resident's trampoline and became stuck. Kay Lang South Gippsland said that they spotted the cow on the trampoline outside her home Wednesday night and discovered the bovine was unable to stand up on the bouncy surface. Lang said the neighbor used a tractor to carefully lift the animal off the trampoline and contacted the cow's owner. I don't know how long it took them to get it off, but we were back in bed by 3:30 in the morning, she said. The animal's owner said about 40 cows had escaped earlier the evening, and the majority had been rounded up before the trampoline incident. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What conversation would you like to have with aliens? John, can you tell me about something that your folk once believed in very strongly? Something that folk identified with? And help me understand what your path your folk took out of it. I would also really like to hear a joke, John says. And then it would mean a lot to me if you could let me listen to something that brings you a lot of joy. Do you have any home movies? Just saying. Anyways, Graham, exchange of wisdom and technology and an alliance. Marty, great clown, Marty. I want to know what they've done with all of that beef that they have taken from the cattle mutilations. Do they have an Outback Steakhouse on their planet that they are supplying? Haunted History BC. First, a conversation would not be enough. Would have to live with them at least a year, delve into history, customs, societal structure. If they shared any sensitive information off the record, we would not divulge. Mike, I want to talk about their art, music, and dance and how it compares to ours, if they have such a thing. Other John. Did you create us? And if yes, for what purpose? Who created you? What is your understanding of death? I want the answers, Dave. Brett. Got to pull an Art Keith on this one. Depends on which off-worlders you're talking about. Could be what's for dinner, besides me, or dude, show me how to fly this bad boy. Nick. Where are you from? Where'd you go? Where you come from, Cotton-Eyed Joe? What's the origin of our species? How many alien civilizations are there? Do you have the ability to stop the aging process? What's inside a black hole? Charoos. I would have to ask them to play my upcoming epic Hollywood movie. Plenty of action, host of characters, lots of sexy gals, exotic locations, cool theme songs. What else can a man or alien ask for in this lifetime? I'm even going to ask UFO Jesus to appear. Why? He just copies everyone else's work. Dirty Fylth. I want to know if they like breakfast for dinner. Quinoa. I'd ask what they believe the meaning of life is. Bruce. Over the last decade, I've had many conversations. I transcribe each one in a journal. I have 5 filled so far. Topics are fairly wide-ranging. Ronnie. Space or multiverse? Where do you come from? Danny. How do we move past this cluster bleep of leadership we have now? How do we move forward and stop relying on fuels of yesteryear? How do we encourage moving forward and forward thinking? How do we move away from material needs, focus on moving forward as one race? Graham, what is the nature of existence, and do they have extraterrestrial disc jockeys? We got time for a couple more. Oh, where'd they go? Where did they go? Oh, son of a gun. Maybe we don't, because I lost them. Oh, Dave, you're so bad. Why did you do that? I don't know. But either way, thank you for everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again very, very soon on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you to Captain Shirk for a wonderful news wire, which can be found on our website, and Alex Mistretta talking cryptids, paranormal, UFOs, improving research. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone who's hanging out in our chat rooms on YouTube, LGAB, Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and Rev Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me.
Stay in line, don't make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we will ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night. Woohoo! Another big week. Done. Just like that. Just done. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Where do we go? Where do we go now? I. Where do we go now? Where do we go? Where do we go now? My son is doing great. 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 Child. 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 What the hell is going on here? There we go. Show chat. Where did the chat room go? I don't want top chat. I want live chat. Just chat. Can't we just chat? Get along? Can't we just chat? Yes. I'll be right back and I'll fill the newcomers in about my boy. All right. Let's do this thing. Thank you, Teresa, for the super chat. I really do appreciate that. Much love to you, my beautiful friend. Thank you, John. Appreciate the comment on Twitter. What am I doing here? Oh, oh yeah, we gotta boost this. Oh, there we go. There. Perfect. All right. Rid of that. New here. Give me 2 seconds, people. Right there. There we go. Now I can see all of you again. Yeah, so for those who tuned in late, my little guy, I talked to his teacher today, and it was a fantastic conversation. And I took my boy to school this morning. I didn't allow him to ride the bus. Not that I have any fears, because the kids in our area, they really like him. And anyways, so I wanted to see, due to COVID, I didn't even know where his classroom was. And so I ended up walking him to his class, and his teacher happened to be in there. And so I just kind of asked her, I said, could you please call me after work? I'd like to have a discussion with you about everything that's going on and find out how he is in class and everything. And she basically surprised me afterwards, saying that Colby is one of her favorite students that she's ever taught. He's very highly intelligent, and which is a rarity, because he's in a grade 2-3 split, and he's in grade 2, and but he's very willing to learn. And his biggest problem is sometimes his imagination and fantasy kind of gets lost in reality. She said really one of the only issues that she has with him in class is that his writing is terrible. I blame that on him being left-handed. Yeah, and then just, they've been going over what has happened over the last couple of days, and how their feelings hurt, and she's trying to promote him to play with other friends rather than trying to make friends with, lack of a better term, the bad boys in class, which I think is really, really cool. That was the first time I've got to meet the teacher. I really liked her. And Colby, my son, really seems to like her as well, which is cool. And so it was a huge, huge weight off of my shoulders today because I felt for the first time all week that my son is safe and that he is in good hands, and excuse me, and that he's doing what he is supposed to do. So you know hopefully, I mean, there's some parenting that needs to go on there, in regards to helping him understand that there are certain people that he shouldn't hang out with, and if they're doing those types of things and wanting to be a little bit violent in their ways, that's probably who he shouldn't associate with. I did kind of hint to her that he now has my permission, that if any of these boys lay their hands on him again, that he can knock them out, and he will not be in trouble on my end. So all in all, it was very progressive, and I felt very, very good about it. And so I can relax, take that away from my mind, and concentrate on other things, release that, and I'm pretty happy about it. Pretty happy. So I just want to say a big thank you for all of you for allowing me to vent and share my emotions, about the love for my son, and trying to put him in a positive direction and everything. And no, I think it just turned out really, really well, and as well as it can be. I mean, it's still not an excuse that my son has been hit, but it is kind of cool. It's very cool, and like I said, the main thing is I feel safe sending my son to school now, and thank you to all of you for the very positive vibes, the prayers, led by Reverend Keith, who called me yesterday just to check in to see if I was okay. And I know a lot of you were sending a lot of mutual love and prayers and hope and positivity our way. And trust me, it all came out. It all came out today, and I couldn't be more thankful to all of you for allowing me to share that with you. I know I don't talk a lot about my home life or my personal life, and I try and keep some things a little bit, hidden, because I don't really have a private life, so to speak, doing this job, which I absolutely love and adore. But that being said, sometimes old Davy needs to vent, and it was nice to be able to just chat with all of you, just to allow me the opportunity to talk and just express my feelings and my emotions of everything. And I really needed that. And thank you for allowing me to do so. I really do appreciate that. So, yes, class dismissed. I feel good. And I feel thankful. I really do. Feel real good. Oob to Joe's Maine. Oob. Oob. I just want to get down south. Open up the fucking border. I am tired of it. Excuse me. Tired of all this crap. I just want to be able to go and hang out with a bunch of you. Okay, time to get your verification codes ready, your 6-digit verification codes, because we are about to take this one downtown. Almost that time, people. Almost that time for you to get your verification codes ready. If that's okay, that's it. That's all. Make this thing happen, shall we? Oh, where are we here? Let's load this up. And hit transfer. And today's verification code is as follows: 983 600. 983 600. Verify wisely, people, because you want to make sure you're verified. Somebody get it? Sandra got it as per usual. Susan got it. Excuse me. Hair is looking good. Thank you, Joe and Joe's Main. Come on. This already. Here. Here. Today would have been my grandfather's. What's the date today? Today's the 20th. My grandfather's 96th birthday. He didn't make it. Died 26 years ago. The Ronald Penton is here, everyone. Better late than ever. The Ronald Penton. I'm tired. By the way, what's going to be really cool next week? Merle is going to be in studio live. In studio live with Merle next week. What happened at the gift site? Nothing. I'm sad to report nothing has happened. We set up the trail cam. The trail cam was there for 7.5 days. And literally nothing happened. The only photographs that were there on the machine or on the trail cam were of us setting it up and leaving. And then us what other part was I going to say? And then us coming to pick it up. That's it. Nothing happened. Nothing. I'm a little pissy about that. Oh, well. Corns, you wish. You wish I was violated by Sasquatch. You sick bastard. Well, I know they don't like electronics. Still had to try. So, we'll figure something else. I bet you anything that when we go back there next week, that there is something there. Or something's moved or whatever. I'm going to be so pissed off, but in a good way pissed off. All right, everyone. I'm going to be calling it the weekend because I have to be up for work and hockey practice tomorrow. And I love each and every one of you. I love you for the support. But old Davey here, I've hit my wall. Hope you don't mind. I will talk to you all on Monday night. Michael W. Hall will be here Sunday. Thank you to my great team of Spookles the Cat, Corns the Booking Guy, Captain Shirky Poo for the news, for making my life so much easier. And thank you to all of you who participated in the Super Chats this week. Thank you to everybody who is new. We should give an update before I go here, because I know Teresa brought it up. Because we only have 15 days to hit Spookles the Cat's goal of 10,000. Let's see. New copyright matches found. What is this? With Alan Hughes next. Okay, what was wrong with this one? Not sure what's up with this. Look for a copyright claim somebody made on your video. Who made a copyright claim on my video? Marilyn Hughes did. He probably wants removal requests. I don't get it. I'll have to look into that. Then let's go to analytics. Where are we sitting? We are sitting at how many followers now? 9,199. So you need 801 people to subscribe in the next 15 days. Otherwise, you could take your breakfast for dinner and shove it. Yes, shove it. Because I don't want to eat breakfast for dinner. I don't. Much love to all of you. Bomber Bombshell, love you. Princess Denali, stay awesome. Spudgy Poo, keep awesome. Oob to Joe's Main, Jenna, everybody. Brett Lewis, you guys are awesome, man. Thank you. I love you. And we'll see you on Monday night. Good night.